Yo, Snoop K on the mic. This one for all my time displaced geisha bitches. Yeah. No, we back in the day, 16th century, same Goku era, straight feudal energy, samurai on the rise, Ganyo in the mix. Oda, total power fixing conflicts quick. Ninja creeping in the shadows, silent and swift. Castles fortified, loyalties to give. Bushido cold, honest in the heart. Blades clashing, battlefields to art. Same Goku times to be wild and crazy sizzle. Samurai life, it's the warlord fizzle. Feudal Japan in the house like a drizzle. History in the rhyme, feel the ancient sizzle.
Before we begin, what do you think of my totally accurate samurai attire, right?
Nothing to lose. Now the lights gone dim, no more playing the fool. Simp hunters caught them, now they're back to school. Soy boys, what you gonna do when the simp hunters come and they're gonna for you? Soy boys, what you gonna do when the simp hunters come and they're gonna for you?
All simps are innocent until voted guilty by the chat.
Quiet! You light up the city sky, shining bright like a supernova. Your love is a force of mine, making my heart race like a motor. Chains can't hold me down, with a flick I'll break free. Every villain in this town better step back and let us be. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. Searching through the neon glow, my heart burns like a fire. I'll melt the shadows, you know, with the love that never tires. We're going on a quest to protect what we cherish, but don't lose sight of our best. In the dawn, let our worries perish. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. No force can shatter the peace we have found. Our bond is like a tether, stronger with each challenge. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. On this journey we defend our love strong and bright. Bring back the joy, my friend, let's ignite the night. Don't feel calling, don't be shy. It's happy hour, and here's why. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Your love's a shockwave, making hearts beat faster. Whoa, 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 my heart's in overdrive. I wonder if Josh is gonna make this time.
Nope. Still no Josh. Just me. Just old Cider here to talk to you about Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero and the Zoomer lingo that found its way into the dialogue. Here to talk to me about that is the lovely Miss Nerdigans. Hello.
Hi, Cider.
And
Hi, Bounding.
howdy. And what happened here? Why do we keep getting Zoomer lingo stuffed into stuff coming out of Japan? What's going on?
Apparently, according to my Twitter followers, and also even in the tweet that this was discovered in, this has been a problem in Dragon Ball games for a while. There was like peanut butter jelly time in a previous Dragon Ball fighting game. There was Giga Chad in one of them. Like, I don't know what is going on over at Bandai Namco. I really, really don't. I don't know why. This is not just Bandai Namco either. Nintendo of America has this issue. Square Enix has had this issue for I don't know how long now. But problem is though, and this is true for anime and manga, this is what I know, is that once it leaves Japan, they have no idea what's happening. They don't.
Oh.
They have no clue. I've talked about it here. They don't know.
Mm.
So fans have to let the studios know, and the publish. Well, manga it's a lot easier to let them know, but anime studios, from what I know through my contacts, it's a lot harder to notify them what's happening. But because of what happened earlier this year, late last year, earlier this year, they're becoming more aware of what's happening. So at least something is being done. Oh, I'm super low.
No, you're all right. I adjusted you.
Oh,
You're all right. Yep. No, you're absolutely right, because Katrina's behind a great deal of this. And on the other side of it, we've got the Americans kind of having their own field day with it at Funimation. They've been infamous about this lately. And, of course, Bandai Namco's products, they've swore that they're going to start embracing DEI on both sides of the Pacific. So it doesn't surprise me that, like, references about Among Us and all this other crap is leaking into the video games now. Because they're going after the video games.
Well, Katrina was working at Sega's localization department for a long time. She was the one behind a lot of the Persona games, cringy localization. That's right,
Okay.
Kitty. Don't be bad, Kitty. God. I don't. Every time, Zeno. Why do you do this every time?
Every week. He knows. He's got a feeling in his little kitty bones about it. But that brings us to the next wonderful and brave and stunning change that our good DEI friends in Japan have made. The censorship, the Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake characters.
Oh yeah, so people are, I don't know why the West is just like this. The West is like, oh, it's only a piece of clothing. It's not much. That is what censorship is. It may be just a little bit, but that's literally what censorship is. And in the case of the bunny girl, or the Gadadot, they basically stripped her of her Playboy bunny status with the covering over the thighs and getting rid of her little bow tie and her little cuffs.
Yep.
You stripped her of her bunny girl status. That's what a bunny girl is. It's the little Playboy bunny. I can't believe how many people in the West don't know what a Playboy bunny is.
Well, we're modest. I'm sure a lot of people know what it is, but nobody wants to say, yep, I'm the foremost expert on Playboy bunnies.
Or hell, even an anime rabbit girl, because bunny girls are an anime. So it's like...
Plenty of them.
Yeah, so I have to deal with these Puritans just say, like, oh, wait, this is nothing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, do you not know what a bunny girl is?
Well, it's clear that what they've tried to do here is they've tried to class her up a bit to make her look more like a casino girl than a Playboy girl. So
yeah, and obviously the top too. They completely changed it because the top is like they changed the trim to match the cuffs. But like there was nothing wrong with her. There's nothing wrong with her.
Well, again, they have a problem with this style of character and that condition that it's in because it's styled in the Playboy style, in the
And Sarah
sexual
doesn't
object
like
style.
that. well, it's Sero that they're trying to appease is the problem. I think a lot of Westerners don't seem to understand, and I've been learning a lot about this too over the past week as well. What's going on with Sero is that because Square Enix is trying to reach a younger demographic, they have to deal with Sero. And it's kind of, think of it like this, kind of like how people were bringing anime into the West, and what 4Kids did to try and appease the government regulations, kind of like that, if you think about it. I mean, look, the label on her alcohol bottle is gone, and but it's like, a lot of people are like, well, for this in particular, this is a remake of Dragon Quest III. Why not just age it up? Why not have it up to like the equivalent, which would be like a T equivalent? But this is funny though. A lot of people are theorizing on Japanese Twitter that the reason why they did this, the dude in particular, is because that Square Enix thought they would be slick and get away with it in the pixels. So that way it looks like it's not even there in the pixel and her pixelated design, in-game design.
Oh, I see.
You see what I mean? They thought they would be slick, but people caught it.
As they should. As they should.
But like the Dragon Quest Walk design, people like that design a lot. If they wanted to appeal to Sero, people are like, well, why not just do that? This design is flattering, and it doesn't like take away from Toriyama's design. It actually kind of looks cool.
The problem that they are experiencing is that this character is not respecting what they think is happening in the game. So they want you to believe that this is a legit walk-around warrior rather than an attractive anime girl that can inexplicably lift a hunk of metal that's 6 times heavier than her and also defend herself with that piece of metal. So they completely miss what's happening here. So that's what they're trying to do with adding on all this extra stuff that you see up here, adding on all that padding, making her all macho looking, is because they think this is supposed to be a warrior walk around, Conan the Barbarian style, forgetting that this is just supposed to be a hot anime girl with a big old sword. There's not much more thought process to it than that.
Yeah, and I didn't realize how beloved she was in Japan until this happened.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can't go anywhere without gacha.
Huge.
Yeah, gacha pods are full of these things. They absolutely love the Dragon Quest stuff as little collectorites, little collector things. And again,
I thought the funniest thing about this though was when they said that it looked like a penis. I just.
Yeah, okay. Now that you mention it, it does look like, at least looks like a cod piece anyway from this angle. Definitely looks like a cod piece.
Like in the in-game though, the pixel, it looks like in-game, it looks like a penis. And someone said it's like,
oh god, if it's animated and it moves when she moves, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it looks like Square Enix put a Futanari in there. Oh god, it's so silly.
Pain. But, that's pain.
I know. And it just the timing, man. I mean, we saw this with Suda51. We saw it with Suda51 and another developer. I can't think of off the top of my head his name, but they were saying that it's like with Sero, because of how strict they are, a lot of the games, it's like a reverse of what happened in the 90s and 2000s, where Square Enix sent like a censored version to the West, where the girls were covered up. And it was, less sexy, but more bloody. It's like a complete reverse now. It's so weird.
Well, again, this is the infection of woke. Woke tells you that this character needs to be covered up because woke doesn't recognize the purpose of that character.
Well, Dragon Quest has had censorship before like DEI and all that. This has happened before. That's why I'm like, this is more of a Sero situation because of Sero because Square Enix decided to lower the age rating, which is from T to like E10, so that way they could appeal to a larger audience. And because of doing that, they had to censor some of the girls. The other stuff, like with the like, I don't know why and I sent it to you in the Slack. They censored a male character too, the dragon or the monster tamer or monster wrangler, excuse me, monster wrangler. That I thought was weird. That one did not make sense to me. But at least
Yeah, we've got him right here.
Yeah, the gender equality is real. Like that, and they also technically race swapped the female one. I should have sent that one to you too, because originally she was like a reddish pink, and now she's like fully human. So it's like a race, maybe species swap? I do not know.
Species swap, yeah. No longer an Oni. It's been turned into a girl.
She's been turned into a human. It's just the weirdest thing. And no one's talking about that either. Maybe just people are noticing it? I don't know. But I noticed it.
You know, when men's booba gets covered up, it's not a big deal. But when you cover up girl booba...
Oh, people were pissed. Like in my comment section, people were mad. They're like,
that's interesting.
Why? It's like, free the nip. Let them... Like, this design is hot, too. I like this design a lot. He looks great, but he should be shirtless.
I'll take your word for it. You know, either way is fine. You know, he seems to be a well-intended gentleman here. Yeah.
Well, like, yeah, his muscles are more defined and all that. He looks great. But they did, for Final Fantasy, I'm guessing it's the same thing with Sero, where they're trying to appeal to a younger audience, and they have to appeal to Sero, just like with 4Kids. They are trying to appeal to a younger audience with our generation. This is where it happened. And because of that, what they did for, like, example, like with Yu-Gi-Oh! With My Valentine, they made her breasts smaller, and they covered her up a little bit more. So, and same with the... Dang it, Kitty, why'd you have to do that? Bad.
It exists, therefore it must be knocked over.
Oh, he decided to try to knock over his treats. And he knocked something else over instead.
Yep, that sounds about right.
God, like, God damn it, Cat, you do this every time.
But, speaking of knocking... What's that?
But yeah, as I was saying, this is like what 4Kids did to anime back in the day. And it's kind of like with what happened with Sailor Moon. Well, this is a good transition to that too. What we're going to talk about with the voice actress. But remember what happened with Sailor Moon? They had to make besides changing the names of the characters, because that happens in Japanese media too, like with adaptations of Korean media, like with Soul Leveling.
Serena.
Yeah, they changed the names. They made when she was in the bath, they made her boobs smaller. There's changing the lesbians to cousins, which was probably not a good idea.
Still really weird either way. Like I feel like they tried to pick the lesser of two evils somehow, but like even then, it's just weird. So. But basically that's what it feels like is happening with Sero here. But but with the other stuff, like with the trolls and all that, with the lips, I don't know if that you can maybe make an argument could be DEI. But like the stuff with the covering up the girls and stuff like that, that's not DEI. That's more Sero than anything else. Because this has been happening for a long time, based on what I've seen. Well, and as you said, that brings us into our next topic, and that is, of course, the passing of Sailor Jupiter's voice actor, Emi Shinohara.
Yeah, at age 61. Like, a lot of these voice actors are dying so young.
Yep.
And also Toriyama, too. Well, Toriyama died in his 60s, too, earlier this year, so it's like, it's just wild. And she died, I think it was from complications during a procedure to treat an undisclosed illness or something like that. I think that's what they said.
Yep.
But she had a very, very long career, and she was in a variety of shows, including like she was in Gundam, she was in Big O, she was in obviously Sailor Moon, she was in Naruto, Claymore, oh god, what was the Cardcaptor Sakura, Detective Conan, Hajime no Ippo. Like she played a mother figure for most of her career too.
Well, and and she's most famously known for playing Sailor Jupiter in the Japanese version, not the American
Yeah.
version.
Yeah.
And Emi's performance, of course, because this is how Japanese anime works, marked how the character's attitude was. So her forceful way of speaking, her way of line delivery with that hot-tempered kind of traditional girl attitude, definitely shaped how that character was even then conveyed over here in the U.S. by the American actress. I don't remember the name of it at the moment. I can look it up later. But this was a very important character in anime. We see a lot of it going around. Just recently, before she passed away, it was trending on Twitter. One of these characters' more infamous lines about the size of her breasts and how she should be playing Snow White instead of any of the other Sailor Scouts because of that. And what makes you the fairest of them all? Big boobs, apparently. And I can't ignore that logic. That's solid logic, Japan. Solid logic.
It is.
But there you go.
It's fantastic logic.
This is unfortunate because you lose a titan of this industry. As Nerdigans was letting us know, there is quite a bibliography behind this lady. Right now, I have it tuned to like the most favorited roles. But as you can see, we'll just turn the scroll wheel on.
And she played Naruto's mother as well.
As you can see, these are all her roles. These are not just things that she heard of or put on her list. This is all of her speaking roles. We're not even halfway through the list yet. I hope you're comfortable. This lady was not somebody that was like, oh, I'll make my name off of Sailor Moon. She had a complete and illustrious filmography as a celebrated voice actress, stretching back, I think, until the late 70s, I think is when she got on, if not the very early 80s. She had a whole couple of decades before Sailor Moon even came along.
Mm-hmm.
And we're barely toward the bottom here. Yeah. And there it is. She didn't put out any manga, but yeah. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
And yes,
to
her
consider
final role was in 2023 too. I mean,
well,
here's the disturber. Say hi, Cat.
That's right. The mascot of the show, Zeno here.
You say hi, Zeno. Say hi.
He got high on his catnip, and now he's got to let us know he's part of the show too. Very special little angel.
Yeah.
Here.
You are a special little disturber, aren't you, kitty? Go on your scratchy board.
But speaking of disturbances, though, aside from that tragedy, we do have a different type of tragedy, the Berserk tragedy going on right now after an unlicensed anime, or OVA, was released. But before we get into it, we do have a super chat from Scooby Doosh for $2 Canadian saying, hi, Zeno.
Hey, Scooby. But yeah, this is a fan
weird if
project.
He actually talks. It's really weird. I don't know what we'd do, but
this was a fan project that people were really excited about. But Studio Gaga was not having it. And the fans, the Berserk fans, the Western Berserk fans are not having it either. The Japanese Berserk fans understand what's going on for the most part. They do. Especially when they found out that this fan production was taking donations. You can't do that.
Right. In Japanese copyright law, fan works are pretty wide open. Provided you're not making money on it, and provided you're not, calling for violence, this sort of thing, like breaching what would be ethics laws with your work, you're fine. You're fine to produce whatever you like, in fact, provided you're not making money on it.
But if you're going to make money, you have to get permission from the author and from the publisher to do it.
Which transcends it from being a fan work into being a licensed work. And this was neither. This was an effort to make money off of Berserk through donations, thus bypassing the sale of the product itself to viewers. And of course, that doesn't work. They applied the freeware software, software, and they applied the freeware logic to this. It's not how it goes. And unfortunately, we can't show you the stuff here from it because it is legally touchy at the moment. And I don't want to get swept up into that just by trying to show you guys what's going on. Nerdigans, what is the account? It's Studio Eclipse.
Yeah, studio clips.
You can see right here. I'm not going to put the link in the chat because, again, I don't want to get into anything. So if you guys want to see it and it hasn't been taken down, or if you want to research it and find people who have made clips of that stuff, or it's been stored somewhere to see what they did, feel free to do so. But I can't show that stuff to you here because, again, we don't want to get wrapped up in it.
I do want to bring this up as well. Like, this is how, like, because people talk about like piracy and stuff like that, this is how scanlation teams get in trouble too. Because for the most part, like the publishers, for the most part, they do not really care about fan translation teams. I mean, hell, even Western publishers will hire fan translation teams. I mean, we saw it with Kengan, for Christ's sake. But it's when you tiptoe into making money from it. When you profit from it, that's when they go in on these scanlation teams. And also when it's released early. That's kind of a problem.
And DZ3 adds to this that if they don't like it, you know, if they consider it defaming or interferes with their plans, they can take it down too. So, again, they're loose with what they allow. They are also very powerful with what they don't allow and can change their mind whenever they like because it's a fan work, right? You don't have the right to do it. You're just doing it and you're hoping for the best.
And they even brought up the Assassin's Creed plagiarism issue.
Yeah, that's a whole thing we could talk about too. We have a very popular rap song over on Bounding Radio here on this channel with the Japanese. They Yanakai Yasuke is what the genre of rap in Japan is called now that mocks Yasuke the samurai. It's a whole genre now. And we're part of it. So.
But it's interesting, isn't it, that they brought that up?
Well, we'll read what this person has to say here. Is that some people misunderstanding that they are angry, the studio, about a derivative work. But this is not the case. These unofficial overseas accounts are creating the game with money raised. It's not a game, it's an anime.
Yeah.
So it is an unauthorized use of copyright material for commercial purposes, and the official account says it has nothing to do with this, and we did not give permission. When they say they have nothing to do with this, they mean this has nothing to do with Berserk, right? Legally, we are not attached to this work. It has our name and likeness, but we did not grant it permission. That's what that.
And to be clear, this was in the trailer and stuff like that too. They made it clear. Studio Clips did make it clear in their trailer and on their website that this is not an official Berserk thing, that they're not attached to Studio Gaga or anything like that, and to support the official release like any fan project does.
Sure. Team 4-Star attempted their route with it. And again, you can only get so far if you're doing stuff that they want to allow and you're not making money at it. Team 4-Star routinely got taken down because they confused the monetization on the ads for the monetization on the video.
Yeah.
Very different.
And they made sure what Team 4-Star did is they have the law for fair use on all of their stuff. And Team 4-Star doesn't ask for donations. No, they have their own website. You can buy their merch. That's not the actual abridged. No, you just go on their website. You can go buy different stuff on there, and that's how you pay for it. That's how you do it.
So this person,
though, is different.
This person goes on to say, this is the same as the recent infamous Assassin's Creed plagiarism issue, and yet there are a lot of idiots who are getting angry at the official Berserk account. And so, to be clear, about the Assassin's Creed situation, that is about a flag. Mainly about a flag. There'll be more when the book actually comes out and the game actually comes out and you actually see what they ripped. But in Japan, there is the Sekigahara Rifle Corps. And they have a battle flag that Assassin's Creed Shadows just copy and pasted into their game. The problem is that is legally protected historical imagery. And when I say legally protected, they don't make you pay a fee. They don't make you sign a form. What they have is a neat little email box that has 2 little fields in it that say, what's your email to reach you at and how are you using our flag? That's it. They just want to know where it's being used so that way they know it's not being besmirched because it's part of Japanese cultural history. Very important time in their history, the very first use of gunpowder rifles in war. And so it's very important that they preserve that core of men as being the very first to use that weaponry and thus put an end to the samurai age, basically, at the very first pull of that trigger. Very important point in history, and rightfully so should be protected. However, Ubisoft decided, screw you, yes, we did steal it. They said this in a post, by the way. They said, yes, we did steal it, but we're going to sell the materials anyway. In a more recent email, the Sekigahara Rifle Corps, guess what? Guess what? They said, we're going to print it out in the West the way it is with the stolen materials, but for you Asians, we'll cut out the stolen material. That tells me that there's more than just the flag in there. That tells me
Yeah.
there's more, a lot more
There's
than the
definitely
flag.
more. They're probably going to get sued.
I hope so. And I hope
They
they have to
are.
pay for every single issue of Assassin's Creed Soul Shadows sold, as well as a stupid art book that's full of this stolen stuff. I hope they have to pay a copyright suit on every single printing.
They might, well, depending on how bad it is, we'll see if the Diet gets involved in this, but that's really serious. Like, or not, I don't know if the Diet will get involved. Coda will get involved. That's who it will be. It'll be Coda that could get involved with this. You guys, Japanese fans, you can correct me if I'm wrong on who's getting involved with it, because I know Coda is getting involved with a lot of copyright stuff at the moment with the leaker situation with Assassin's Creed, not Assassin's Creed, I'm sorry, Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen anime leaks. So that's why I'm wondering who would be getting involved in this. Would it be Coda? Would it be or would it be a different branch of the Japanese government?
I'm thinking it's probably going to be the Japanese government after a while, because this is a history situation. And again, you understand that Japan and the US have a different idea. Well, the West, let's put it that way. The West have a different idea of how history works. Japan has a deep, deep reverence for it. They track their bloodlines. They track how those bloodlines interacted with other bloodlines. They pray to their ancestors. They know their ancestors from hundreds of years ago still. The tales of these people's lives are still alive in their homes. Whereas in the West, we're kind of like, Grandpa did some important thing on an oil rig at some point, and somebody somewhere went to the moon, I guess. And we're kind of nonchalant about legacy around here. And so it strikes us as strange why they would be so protective and why the government would step in here. But in the past, Japan has had to come in and put like a bit of a wet blanket on the efforts of studios to rewrite certain parts of history. Like, I believe there was one anime that wanted to do the Japanese emperor and a story about him in a boy love situation. It was like back in the early 2000s, and they wanted to do the emperor in a boy love situation, and they were like, nah, nope, not happening. Mm-mm. And so they're touchy about certain parts of history, and I think this is one of those, because as I said, this pretty much ended the samurai era when these guys, very first time they pulled the trigger on those rifles. That was the end of swinging a sword to defend land.
And remember, this isn't the first time Ubisoft has gotten in trouble with Japan either. I mean, they got busted for lying about the Sero in terms of censoring content. So that's like, they already have a bad record over there. So they're probably not the biggest fans of Ubisoft as it is. So, they're probably in big trouble.
But, it is what it is between these two, right? I don't think that the people who did the Berserk fanime, if you will, fanime, I don't think that they're going to get in as much trouble as Ubisoft, for instance.
No. I don't think they're going to, because I don't think they understood. They don't understand the law. I think that's the problem.
No, they do.
They do. You think the Berserk fan group does?
Well, they put the disclaimer. They put the disclaimer to support all this stuff, and that they were intending not to violate it. So they understood that there was a wall there. That's the whole reason why they put that up. So.
Well, no, I'm saying that they didn't understand the other portion of the law, that they can't make money off of it and still ask for donations anyway.
See,
I think that's where I'm like, did they understand that part of the law or not?
In the US, you can't do that either. That's the thing. And even then, you can't make a fan creation, even if you're not making money of it. We saw that cease and desist order that was handed off to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's campaign when they did her up to look like Wonder Woman.
Oh
DC
yeah.
put out that cease and desist, and they weren't selling that. They were just promoting her campaign with that, and DC was like, "I don't appreciate that. Don't do that." So they had to stop doing that. And that's so they know that you can't do that. There's no they knew what they were doing, and they thought they could get away with it because they did a good job, and the studio would be like, "Yes, you deserve some money. Thank you very much. We appreciate the promotion." They thought that was how that was going to go, but it isn't.
But the
And
thing
that's
that pisses me off about this whole thing is that you have all these Berserk fans being like extremely entitled, being like, "Oh, the studio isn't doing anything with it. Um, why not? We deserve it." It's like, you don't deserve anything. Like, come on. You don't deserve shit at this point.
well, and they say it's Ubisoft know-how's obvious to keep it to the West and has already been caught on both sides. And this feeds into what we're talking about here. These guys over here that did the Berserk fanime, they thought they could get away with it. They knew better. They knew better. You look on YouTube all the time. You see fanimes all the time. They explicitly say, you can't pay money for this, but here's my merch store. You can go buy stuff over here.
You can go buy stuff and support,
Right.
support our work.
Right. Support our work. Don't donate directly to us in a response to this, because that also violates from making money off, because you're attracting people to donate to you through that work. That's not right. You can attract people to a storefront. That's
Yeah.
perfectly fine, because that storefront doesn't have anything to do with what you're creating here. But if the donation is born out of the product, that is born out of the fanime, you can't have it. If someone
Yeah.
picks up a shirt about Yoshi that you made that has nothing to do with the Berserk anime, you're fine. But again, it's all this wonderful little wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, fibbly flabbly
You
kind of
just got to be
stuff.
very, very careful with what you're doing. It's like
Copy
with
the greats. Just copy the
yeah.
greats on YouTube. There's guys all over YouTube that have been doing this for years. Newgrounds was full of these guys. Flash animations that looked almost as good as the Dragon Ball Z movies. I remember them. And they didn't get in trouble because they made it explicitly clear that they cannot and will not accept money for this. And that's just these guys knew, and they were crossing their fingers that the studio would be impressed enough to just let them operate. But it is what it is. They're going to keep causing trouble for themselves until they decide to back down and admit that it was wrong, then re-release it out there on YouTube. Just put it out on YouTube, put it out and leave it. Let it alone. Leave it alone, unmonetized. Link to the studio that's making everything proper, and you'll be fine. But for now, it's...
But yeah, like I want to bring this up too, because what Dragon Ball Kakame is doing, which is the French Dragon Ball fan manga, they're making their own anime adaptation of their fan manga, and they're doing it by themselves, and
Yep.
they are not asking for donations at all. They're doing it all
Dragon
on their own.
Ball AF is another one that has become a sensation. And then there's Anime Fight Club, Anime Fight, something like that, where it's all the anime characters are like contextually brought into like a tournament of strength.
Oh, I
And
remember.
they're all fighting each
Yeah,
other.
that was a long ass time ago.
It's
that
still
one.
going though.
It's still going.
Yeah, and
I
it's
think
gotten
I'm-
pretty badass because they've gotten better at animating.
Oh man, I'll have
Yeah.
to look at it again, because it's been a long time. I know there was another Dragon Ball fan manga that I was reading in the mid 2000s that was good. But
Matthew
yeah,
Gaudette. Oh, what's that?
but yeah, Kakame is amazing. I know they do tomes. I think they have gotten permission, but I'm not sure on how they're on the French system compared to like the US and Japan, and also I'm not sure on their full situation. But Dragon Ball Kakame is just so good.
Well, and for a while here, we had Snafu Comics doing the Powerpuff Girl one. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that didn't get hit with anything because again, that guy was not, or people, there could have been multiple people involved in that, but those folks were not trying to make money off of the product they made. In turn, their merch store only dealt with the stuff that they created within their own canon. So their own characters, their own robot designs, not the stuff that's either based on or warped from the Cartoon Network characters. This is
Yeah.
all stuff that's very easy to execute. The other thing that annoys me, right? You go talk to ChatGPT. You could Google this. You didn't even need ChatGPT. You didn't even need the Gemini AI assistant on the Google feed. You just Google, hi, can I make money off of making my own Berserk anime? And they would go, no. Google says no. It's very simple. YouTube videos about this. There's umpteen indie film YouTube channels that talk about this. How the hell do you think Bat in the Sun does what they do? You think DC and Marvel are happy with Batman and Wolverine slicing each other up in an alleyway where people do meth? Really? No.
Largest database on the internet, but no one knows how to use it. Apparently, it's so stupid. And like, especially these freaking impatient. Well, this is just the Western fandom in a nutshell. These impatient, and this is kind of a good segue into Genshin. They just don't know any better. They don't know.
Hey, guess what? We're gonna do that now. I'm gonna press the button because I tripped. That's right, they're done. It's pathetic now. They moved on to attacking McDonald's of all things.
Because of their Genshin collab. But what I think is funny about all this is that even with the collab, a lot of them are just like hating it anyway.
Yeah, they're gonna go do it anyway, yeah.
But man, some of them, like, they just have a serious addiction. Like, the true addiction of these Genshin boycotters, it is just bad. Like, remember back in the 2000s when World of Warcraft was out, and people would say like you knew your friend had a World of Warcraft addiction by when you asked them like how long have you been sober, and they would give you like an actual timeline
like
of how long they've been sober. Yeah. That's what is happening with Genshin. These kids Anonymous. Are addicted. It's Genshin, dude. This addiction might be worse than World of Warcraft addiction. It is that insane.
Well, it is a gambling addiction. To be absolutely clear, I imagine a lot of you out there don't play Genshin Impact. It's okay. It's all right. I don't either. I just know it through clips, and I just like watching people play it because it's kind of fun and it's a cute little anime RPG thing. Nothing big. Well, it is huge, but it's nothing like cultural here in the West. So what it is, though, is that Genshin Impact works on a lottery system. You as a player have a set amount of wishes, and what these are tokens to put into the game effectively that tells it to pull like a slot machine style. Are you going to get a character you want? And you can randomly get a character. They call this pulls. These pulls. So you will pull a very popular character and thus be like very excited because I got that popular character and now I can play as them in the game, level them up, learn all their tricks, do all their cute little emoji dances, and show off the neat skins that you can unlock or buy for that character now that you've unlocked them or pulled them rather. And because of this lottery system, if you will, this casino system with the character recruiting, it becomes very addictive for people, much like the gacha machines in Japan are very addicted to people because the mystery prizes within. They keep the prize rendering bubbles masked now. Most of them are solid colors, so when you open it, you don't know what you got inside. And this is how Genshin operates with its character collection system. So there you go. That's why it has the addictive property to it that Nerdigans is talking about, is because it kind of does. It kind of does. It's kind of casino for kids. But yeah, this is why they're mad.
Well, that and like in terms of you have the Free Palestine people that have been boycotting McDonald's because of the I guess the Israeli branch fed the IDF on October 7th
Yeah.
and they got all pissy about it. These people don't know. These people don't know any better. They don't know about Hamas. These people only see skin color. They're very colorist, as Cider has said before. They're very colorist. So, like, all they're seeing is white people hurting brown people. Even though
Yep.
Israelis are brown, but a good chunk of them are brown. They're just seeing it like that. And also, they're a lot of them are just very anti-Semitic anyway, so they just won't admit it.
It's a neat avenue to let that out, I guess, huh? So,
Yeah,
but as you can see, what's that?
but what's funny about this whole thing is they're saying, oh, these characters would not be for a genocide and blah blah blah. It's like, dude, the game you're playing is funded by a country that has active concentration camps. What are you talking about?
Right, and they're concentrating the people that you claim to be getting genocided. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, guys, come on, this full circle here. You got to go the whole way around. You can't stop halfway through because you feel like you got to go all the way around with this. You know, and that's why they're kids. That's the thing. They're
They
against
don't
the
know.
kids.
They just don't know.
And they are, as we've shown you before over on the change.org petition. I love going to this page. It makes me feel good about myself.
And you know what's sad is that petition has more signatures than the Renew the Alkalite petition.
Yep.
That's like the best part about it, and it still failed.
It also has our good friend Brian, the melanated person. We remember here he is.
Hi, hello. My name is Brian, and as a male person myself, I think that it's sad that we have to really just fight for what's right, aka having more darker skinned characters. And I hope that with this petition, I hope that like later on in the video game industry, we can have more and more diverse characters.
When you make a video like this,
especially
people love it. They just
especially
love it when you
video
do
games.
this.
So I was gonna say, just thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, so this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with kids. We got the racism is bad kid too. Like, there he is.
Racism is bad.
Genius. Just nailed it. Like top end right there. This is what American schools are providing us now. It's very great. Just top end stuff right there. And so, but this is who is complaining about all of this going on over on the McDonald's end of it. These are the same people, because I'll remind you again, the majority of people that are concentrated on this genocide thing, Nerdigans, I'm only being careful about that because YouTube is iffy about the P's versus the I's right now. The I's versus the P's, that kind of thing. That's it. I don't mean anything. I'm just trying to be careful. And so the people that are obsessed with this genocide thing, they are on the same side as the Genshin kids because they're all mostly concentrated around 14 to 25. Most people who are in like over that and out of college and kind of got like bills to pay, they're looking around and they're like, no, it's pretty clear what the sides are here. It's pretty obvious what's gone on. If you're not like being purposely told by your authority figures every single day that the opposite is true. And now McDonald's, a place with cheeseburgers and apple pies, mind you, has found its way into the target of all of this because of Genshin Impact working with them. Now, there's the Genshin Impact, the kids that are angry about the racism, now combining with the kids that are angry about the genocide situation. And I'm using that word, right? I'm using that word just to cut to the chase so everybody knows what we're talking about without all the team names. All right, I just want to be clear what tone we're setting here. We're not with the Genshin people. We're not with the McDonald's boycotters. I'm just trying to be careful with the words so we have a channel tomorrow.
Yeah, it's understandable. It's just this situation is so funny. And like
it is.
I asked I put out a tweet asking about the Genshin, Twitter community about some of the headcanons. I'll pull it up while you explain the stuff in this collaboration. Because, man, these headcanons are just wild.
Yeah, well, as usual, shippers go wild and then they start mutating into real life about what they think, it turns into a real life fan fiction. But as you can see right here, as we've been showing off, you go through and you take a look at what McDonald's and Genshin have teamed up to offer you. This isn't like the Monopoly stuff where you pull off a little tab and you maybe won a pair of shoes or something. $25,000, something like that. And no, these instead are actual codes that redeem back items in the game every time. And this is the certain codes fit together is the other thing, is that you need to get 2 or more of these things paired together and you can unlock wings, for instance. And you saw the other prizes as we were going through these other things a little earlier. And again, these are the QR codes that you see right here. So there's no longer little codes you got to push in there. You just bring out your phone, you scan it, you're done. This whole thing. It's just fast food and a dumb little RPG game. It's not an RPG game that's out there like Wolfenstein that's trying to recontextualize alt history around the Nazis or something. It's just chicken nuggets and anime characters, for God's sakes. But you've got kids out there that are losing their minds over this in such a spectacular way. I had it pulled up earlier for the video I did on it. They're telling people to undo themselves, to end their,
I saw that
themselves over this situation. Like, we'll take a look at this right here, right? And this one disturbed me because this has nothing to do with anything at all. We'll start with the less tempered one here. So we've got someone posting Mulaney. She's the new hot, if you will, in Genshin Impact. She's the new, like, queen of Natlan. They've just added Natlan, and she's the new queen character, the new must-have. And so they drew her with a light skin tone. And this person, in favor of the boycott, replies with, can we bring bullying back? All right, so they want to bully this person who has quite clearly enjoyed drawing Mulaney. However, coloring her, they decided to provide a too light of a skin tone for the people in the Genshin Impact boycott community. Now, this one is disturbing. We have someone over here that's saying, this character is from Natlan, not Nigeria. It's a fantasy game, grow up. Basil replies with, your family will suffer through various tortuous plagues for the rest of eternity. Yeah.
these people are psycho.
That seems really reasonable over anime characters in an RPG that you use chicken nuggets to get wings in. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. This is the level of just mental degradation, mental melting, I guess, that youth is experiencing at the moment. That you want people to end themselves over McDonald's showing compassion, I guess, a local McDonald's showing compassion to local fighters, okay? Local fighters who they believe are defending their land, so defending the chicken nuggies, if you will. Defend the tendies. And there we go. So
here's the one that I have here. This is the one where I asked my followers about if this was headcanon or not. And a lot of them in the replies are just like, this is like mental illness. But there's one other one I'm going to find where it's like, dude, this is like, this is serious addiction. Like, these people, and we've showed this to you guys before, that like they will do anything but just quit playing the game. It is a pure addiction.
oh, well, would you look at that? They just drew a bunch of Team P flags all over them. I'm sure that'll help everything. Oh, wow. Okay, so I found a new nickname. That's neat. Genocider. Remember that one. But as you can see, they're a little weird. We're dealing with this person here, and they say nope, they would never go to McDonald's, Kazuha and Vidao, whatever.
Vidao. Yeah, Kazuha Vidao, I think it is. Yeah.
Support Team P and not the genocide feeders. If you know what a feeder is in the Urban Dictionary definition, this This is hilarious. It's really funny to think, really. That a bunch of fat people are out there destroying the world. But yeah, we'll take a look at their other complaints here. So this
and
person
also they lack
says
their replies, but yeah.
naturally. So this person says Kazuha and Beto are the last characters who would give money to a company openly supporting genocide. Terrible collab, hard pass, don't participate. Okay, so like Nike with their child labor camp there, their child sweatshops with their literal children putting their shoes together would have been a better collab in your mind
Like
there, pal?
iPhone or
Right. The iPhone that's dug up using African child labor. And they have to dig lithium with their bare fucking hands. That one. The other thing that got me is a friend of mine who is in college. She plays this game, and she was telling me that these two characters are more classically seen by the fandom as gay. So you have
that would not surprise me.
this gay male character and then a lesbian female character, and this is how they read them. And now they're paired up like boyfriend and girlfriend going to McDonald's together. And then there's the quiet cannabis sign down here. So I fully believe that the Genshin guys sat down and they said, we are going to destroy these children. We are going to make some American children cry, gentlemen.
Yeah,
And,
that's a conspiracy theory that McDonald's lost so much money, so they're targeting Genshin. It's like, no, they're not. It's just a collab. They're
I
just
promise
trying to
you-
make money.
I promise you, Genshin went to them, not the other way around. And this is the other thing, okay? If you don't know, they got some controversy. Who doesn't have controversy? But one of my most favorite YouTube channels in the world is the Game Grumps, and they got a paid sponsorship to play Genshin Impact. Now, Game Grumps are not. These are not guys that are hip with the kids. Dan over there on the right, that's dressed as a little cherub. He's the fella in the background closest to Mualani, that flying cherub character. He's like 46. All right, he's headed into 50. All right, and Aaron's 38 years old. He's the character posing up in the foreground there. They don't come on camera. They're not like cam tubers or whatever. They just play retro style video games and really strange games like Tungulus. All right, they don't. Yeah, and the other one is Don't Pee. We have to go through a whole work shift. It's a work simulator, but you have to pee. But you can't go pee because you're at work and it's closing hours. And it's such a hilarious game. And that's what they play. They don't play Genshin Impact. So what was hilarious to me is that these guys who are not versed in this whatsoever got paid to play it. And I know it's because it would tick off the Genshin Impact kids. One of my favorite parts of their playthrough of Genshin Impact, all right? Like, and I almost fell out of my chair laughing. So remember I told you earlier about the casino pulls, right? Like you get so many wishes and you get a character and you go, wow, I got the greatest character. Yay. This kind of stuff. Here we go. Okay. Aaron gets Mualani on the first pull. He literally says first try and the character comes up just like that. And he pretends to freak out about it, but I knew it. I knew Genshin was like, they gave him all the codes. So, of course, everything he does in the game is going to be like the most perfect result ever. And what does he do? He walks off the edge of a cliff, okay? He walks off the edge of a cliff 10 minutes after he pulls Mualani, okay? So he's walking around having a great time, celebrating that he pulled off one of the most popular characters, and he walks off the edge of a cliff and kills her. Just like that. Just like that. No, I know it was on purpose, because I bet you Genshin was like, don't take it seriously. Play like a couple of boomers. Just do whatever you usually do with your Game Grump stuff. Please don't try to make it look better than anything it is. And of course, they went through and they had no idea what anything meant in the game. So they were making fun of it, giving it all sorts of names, being like, yes, daddy, and all this other stuff as they're going around in the Genshin game. And I could just hear the infuriated screams of the Genshin kids from like across the earth.
Oh my god.
Here's Jacob.
I don't know.
But I have the I have the shared screen ready for the addiction one because I saw this morning and I just lost it. Like this.
Nerdigans, I need you to zoom in. This is for
Oh.
ants.
I need to zoom in. Okay, hold on a second.
If you make your browser window narrower, it'll make the picture bigger.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, I saw this morning. I was dead. So this, and I think this thread is deleted now too. So this person said here that basically how to boycott smart is effect is this. So to not spend money at McDonald's, but basically to free to play still.
Yep.
Boycott smart and not blindly. Be smart in how you choose to act and spend your energy towards the right action. Basically, still do free to play, but you know, not spend money at
Don't
McDonald's.
get caught. Don't get caught.
But this collab must have cost a lot of money. So don't spend money on it, and they'll see that people are serious, but not fucking with them if they involve themselves with such a company. But notice nothing about uninstalling the game. But this is where I'm like, dude, this is an addiction.
Yeah.
I'm just saying specifically in terms of the boycott, people still liking the character and playing the game, free to play is still fine because at the end of the day, they're not getting any money from everyone liking it. It's like, oh, boycott it. Liking their character, they're not getting any money. If we focus on supporting their content creators, such as artists and writers instead, to make a boycott actually effective, you need to attack them at the fundamentals, which is the money. If you want to go wholly and not play or involve yourself with any content of the game, that's fine as well. What's important is what you do and what you want and what you get your peers to do. Everything else is out of your hands. And the point of the boycott is to make them feel the actual collateral impact, and that is by affecting their money. Don't play the game. Uninstall it. Like, that's why, like, this is an addiction. It's a serious one too. Like they say, they even say want to stop the game entirely. If you want to remove yourself completely from the Hoyo community, that's good. You do that. You do your part to influence your peers too. He's not going to. This person says they're not going to do that. No.
What a surprise.
And
see, the thing is that to fill you in on why free to play is a problem for a boycott, right? Obviously, like, we're going to stop drinking Bud Light and then you keep drinking it, right? So even if you're buying it from a buddy, line of purchase is still getting through. The other thing is that it contributes to an overall player count. So at any point, if anybody, like an investor or anybody that's like wants to get into the guts of whether or not Genshin's a game they want to involve themselves in, goes and takes a look, there's at least 66 million players, mostly through the 24-hour cycle, playing at all times. So that's a very, very impressive player count to be sporting just any old time of day. And so, you know, you lose, 190 some odd thousand people from that. That's like a power outage in Houston, okay? That's like nothing. They won't even notice that missing. They're like, the server freed up a little bit. Wonder what that was.
No, but this is the best part of this whole thing. And this is what a lot of these boycotters do, is they project and they don't have any self-awareness. Is that moral pandering, yelling at other people to follow your way of boycotting or your values bring nothing but deter for the main purpose of the boycott. Bro, you're not boycotting. Free to play is not boycotting. Like, that's what these people are doing, though. They are the moral pandering and yelling at other people to follow your way of boycott. Dude, that is what you're doing. That's what a lot of these people are doing. Like the Renew the Alkalite people do this all the time. The Rings of Power people do this all the time too. Like all you guys are doing are projecting, and you are doing your moral pandering, and you're yelling at other people to follow your way of thinking. That's what you guys are doing.
What a surprise, right?
I just think it's so funny that this happens all the time. I've noticed it more and more. And it's not just from, because I don't know if this person is a minor or not, but like, I see it a lot from these kids. And like, I just think it's funny because a lot of these people are now trying to hide behind the label minor and like putting in their profile. And then I get attacked for quote unquote stalking a minor. What?
That's not how that works. That's
not
not
how that works.
quote tweeting somebody is not stalking them. That's not how that works.
It's stupid. These people are dumb. So one of them said that the EU, like one of these boycotters said that the EU doesn't exist. I'm just...
Come on. Come on, baby. I just want out.
These people are so dumb.
That brings us to the end of Tokyo Happy Hour. So we're going to play the intro for 01 now, and we'll move into that. And this is the one where we talk about Western stuff, mostly gaming tonight, but it's also another news in Hollywood going on. You may have heard about James Earl Jones.
Every step I take, reclaiming what's my right. Believe in me, I'll fight forever. Believe in me, love is all I need to break through to our destiny. To our destiny. Believe in me, I'll fight forever. Believe in me, love is all I need to break through to our destiny.
Psych, it's not Josh. It's supposed to be Jacob's intro. Gotcha. You think everything's going to go smooth around here, but you never know what button I'm going to...
I had a great joke, but apparently we're just going to play the wrong intro to start the show. So
I don't know who's dumber, the Lord of the Rings of Power fans, Alkalite fans, or Genshin boycotters.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just what we come to expect about this stream, right? I just push buttons all the time, and occasionally people find their way back from the edge of the earth.
They do, but you know what? It worked. You know, it is only appropriate that the first stream where I am back, I am here, is one where we just get off to an awful technological start. I am not even surprised about that.
plays the wrong intro for me. Doesn't even give you an intro at all. It's like you're not even like you haven't even been gone for like the last 2 months. It's like no one cares.
I was like, Saturday, where's my intro? But I was like, all right, well, I guess we're rolling with it. But yes, everyone, I am back. It has been a month that I have been out. I am so happy to be back, talking with you guys about all the craziness that has been going on across pop culture, entertainment, the Western world, the Eastern world, obviously, as you were checking out with Tokyo Happy Hour. Obviously you guys
still has a logo up, by the way.
I've been checking. I've been in the chat over the last few weeks, but I just wanted to say you three have done an amazing job keeping the show going, holding it down, keeping our viewers entertained. But no, but you guys did great, and I'm happy to be back. Yes, finally made it out of that North Korean prison. All I have to say is glorious leader is quite glorious, and we should all be so lucky to be in his area.
Well, and the other thing is, man, is that you've been gone for a month. So we appreciate you coming back, man. It's been really, really strange only having a 3-man team for 01. So, and we appreciate you being able to stay on task while you're out and about around the world also. That was a hefty lift, man, being in another time zone and still pulling off Bounding's regular release schedule. So
you know
kudos
what?
to you, dude.
It was kind of nice because being out there. So for those who don't know, I just spent the last 3 weeks in the Philippines, and then last week I had a personal issue I had to take care of that I couldn't make it on. But over in the Philippines, they're 15 hours ahead of where I am here in Arizona. So that basically meant, well, yes, everybody knows I'm here.
Oh my God, Spencer's in Arizona.
Come and hang out.
I've been waiting for months to figure out where to drop this nuke. Now I finally know what city.
I'm surprised you didn't just start with somewhere in California. The fallout would have gotten me.
Just work your way back, right?
Right,
Your way down the border.
But the great thing was
the mushroom cloud would have gotten there eventually.
That's what I'm saying. The fallout, just blow it up there, and I'd be like, Jacob, all right, he found me. I knew this day was coming. But being 15 hours ahead meant that when I woke up at like 7 or 8 in the morning, it was nighttime here for you guys. So I would wake up and start my day with 01 or with Cider Talk, and it was great. But then, even if I kept on my own weird sort of I work later in the day schedule, because I'm hours ahead, that ended up, dropping the news at an appropriate regular time. So it all sort of worked out for us. Yes, Volume, I'm sure you were happy I was gone. I'm sure most of you were happy I was gone. But guess what? I'm back and I'm making it all of your problems.
Well, we did have Caffeinated Wolf stop in a little earlier, and
that guy,
he did want to say you're gay, but he was also
you know what? I
So-
can't blame somebody for factual information. I am very, very gay.
Not as gay as Lord of the Rings
Sammy!
is, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So here's the thing, Nerdigans, is so obviously you've been in our site Slack, you've been keeping us updated on what all of the Lord of the Rings fans are up to, all of their desperate attempts.
Don't encourage her
to get. I'm not necessarily encouraging her. We have to give her some level of credit for legal reasons. I'm pretty sure there's a war going on.
Nerdigans just sitting here going, I do stuff.
Yeah, I do things. But you've been showing us all the what do you call it? The copium coming out of the Lord of the Rings fans. And I got to tell you guys, like, I didn't watch season 1. I'm not watching season 2. It's kind of nice to not really care about one of these awful productions. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm still covering it from the perspective of what are the creators saying, what are the actors saying in the aftermath, but I don't have to spend an hour a week sludging through Rings of Power like I did Acolyte. So
yeah, I was gonna say this is not like an Acolyte where you're just like it's torture, and then you have to see all these psychos just like going off on you for not liking it.
Well, I mean, I feel like we're not at psycho stage for the Lord of the Rings fans
Not
yet.
yet.
At least this season, not for this season. Like we saw it last season, we definitely did. But right now, they're still in that early stage of the, it's still early in the season. It's kind of like they went to a table at Vegas and they're like, okay, I'm not up anymore. I'm kind of at even, but let's keep going. This could totally win out for us. This could totally win out. And it's at the end, they'll go, oh no, it didn't win out for us. And they'll try to make it our problems. You guys are the ones who didn't watch it. You're the racists. You're the sexists. You're the everythingist. And guess what? We have to deal with that for 5 seasons. I'm sure that is the news that is going around. Amazon confirmed today that Rings of Power is getting 5 seasons, which is bizarre to me. That they've greenlit so many ahead of time and after the awful reception of season 1, because we see this all the time, right?
Yeah.
Shows normally do get greenlit for 2 seasons when in actuality it's like 1 season that they chop into 2 and just say, hey, look, we got 2 seasons. Sort of like what happened with Velma. But this is just at this point I've got to believe the problem, it's just Jeff Bezos doing whatever the hell he wants.
Well, no, the problem here is that they booked themselves into a corner because even before the first season got done, they spent upwards of $1 billion just for the rights for them to do a series on the Lord of the Rings. So they can't afford to only have a show go like 1 or 2 seasons and then die because of all the money they invest. Like, this is an investment for them.
True,
they have to see it through, whether it fails miserably or not. Because if they just give up after 1 or 2 seasons, then all that money that they spent to get the rights to this was a complete waste of time.
They can just take the tax write-off at this point. Like, this is just a waste of money.
But what Jacob's saying is different, Nerdigans, because that's what I was going to say too, right? But what Jacob's saying is like, yes, they could write off the show's production for tax or whatever, but that's really only going to go towards recouping your production losses, like everything you did to hire the people, to go to the sets, all that fun stuff. Jacob's saying like they paid millions for the rights to like the 5 paragraphs that they're making this show about. So if they can't recoup any of that, that's an even bigger loss for them. So but like, I don't know how they're going to. I don't know how any of this is going to turn out positively for Amazon. I see no hype for it. I see nobody really out there. Like with the Acolyte, right? We saw it every week. We would see Star Wars stands making it trend, whether it was because they were doing some weird shipping or because they were talking, oh, this lightsaber fight is the best lightsaber fight I've ever seen, even though you couldn't see anything on screen. They were still talking about it. Lord of the Rings, nobody is talking about it. The first thing I saw was Nerdigans, that one tweeter you shared who was like, House of the Dragon, or not House of the Dragon, Rings of Power is whatever that dumb stat is. You shared the tweet where it's like not that impressive of a stat.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna look for it because I know you sent it to us.
But something that I've been seeing in a lot of the comment sections. Hold on, let me say this real quick. I've been seeing this a lot in the comment sections is that people are bored by it. That they don't understand how this is going to last when they're so bored.
Well, here's the problem. You got to keep in mind, 2 years ago, we reported on this. Amazon invested $1 billion into this show, The Rings of Power, right? The first season's cost alone was $462 million production-wise for this show. So they already spent $500 million just on the first season alone. So, and that's what this is what we received from the first season of the show, a $500 million show, which means that at this point, they have no choice but to go all in or admit that they literally lost $1 billion on this massive failure, because Amazon's a publicly traded company, no different than Disney is. So they're still in the position where if they admit any kind of failure, that stock price is going to tank pretty hard. So they have to essentially keep BSing people to be like, oh no, it's actually going great. Guess what? We got like 4 more seasons. This show is totally a success. Like it's literally like borderline insider trading when it comes to stuff like this. But this is where they're at now. They have no one to blame but themselves.
So, yeah,
no,
speaking of blaming themselves,
exactly, they can blame us.
Well, they're going to get blamed themselves. New Zealand has said, hey, man, your production is wrecking house. You need to calm down, Amazon. You're ruining New Zealand. And I'll remind you, they didn't tell Peter Jackson that when he was reshaping the countryside to fit the Shire, you know?
Peter Jackson actually did they put like TLC into their sets. Like this, from what I've heard, they didn't do that here.
I mean, they also one of the big differences is back with those sets on the New Line films, the New Line trilogy. A lot of it is practical, and a lot of it is built into the countryside, like the Shire and Helm's Deep and stuff. The problem with Lord of the Rings is, and it's like such the perfect representative of old media versus new media. That old trilogy, they took care of where they were shooting. They made sure to use the sets as they needed. They would build sets, but they would be building onto the environment where they were. For Rings of Power, the problem that is at the subject or is at the center of this complaint is that Amazon came in and just started cutting down trees, blasting apart rock formations, damming up rivers to make sets to shoot on. So they completely just butchered the entire countryside.
They came in like the CCP.
Yes, that's 1,000% accurate. I am genuinely surprised that it's not a CCP move or production happening right now. I mean,
who knows? There's probably a Chinese construction company working with it. I'm trying to find some set construction photos from this because this is construction. Because as we were talking about with Peter Jackson's production, they were very, very careful with what they were doing. And what we can see from Amazon's Rings of Power production is they're just erecting a mall out in the middle of a rainforest. They're just building a mall out there. They don't care. This whole thing,
they're not building into the forest. They didn't find a clearing where they could just build that onto. They said, cut it down and make it for us. And that's what you get here.
And we got another one here. And again, like they are, you know, some of that looks okay to do, but I guarantee you they're not going to do anything about the water that'll build up down there. They're just going to leave that.
They're not going to do anything with this once they're done with the show. They're going to pack up, maybe like tear it down if they have to. I'm not sure how set building works, but like I feel bad for those people on the other side of the hedge, even though they have a very nice house and they're clearly very rich, but they're going to have to deal with this stuff. Like what's going to happen to their sewage? What's going to happen to their water treatment with this just sitting open for years?
Well,
it's so bad.
And the other thing is that a lot of people are like, oh yes, there's all these great fire scenes that they have, all these grand infernos that they're fighting in front of. Well, guess what? That just gets left there. That's just there forever. When that's over with, they pile up the crap and they move on.
This is so weird to me. It's like they heard all the complaints fans have been giving about every piece of media in recent years, right? Like, we want you to go back on set. We want practical effects. We want you to be based on the source material. And they heard all that and then went to like Bizarro World. They went, okay, we'll be based on the source material. 3 paragraphs, and then we're going to build on that. Oh yeah, we'll have practical sets, but we're going to blow everything out when we get there to make them. Oh yeah, we'll have practical effects, but it'll be for the fire. That to me is so weird, because of all the things you can do in CG that looks pretty okay, out of focus fire in the background during a wide shot is probably one of the easier ones. So
no, it has to be real. We have to burn an actual structure that took weeks to put together, that we had to get building permits to make, and then we're just going to leave it as a heap in the middle of a field.
Like, and the field there is all blackened out. Like, this is genuinely disheartening.
I mean, it's literally at the point where they probably would have been more like efficient with their money had they had just built like a giant like Scrooge McDuck pool and just filled it with gold coins and money, and it probably would have actually produced more joy than anything that they did with the show.
They probably could have built a set inside of one of Bezos's rockets, and it would have turned out way better than all of this.
Well, now I want to see Lord of the Rings in space. Oh wait, that's Star Wars. Anyway.
See, I was now you got me wanting to see like a really bad 90s movie or like indie, like best of the worst type movie about somebody trying to do Lord of the Rings in space. I'm sure it's out there, and I'm sure it's awful. And
it's called Jason X.
Yes. Oh, I love Jason X. The movie is so dumb. Again, my favorite moment in probably all cinema is at the very end when they eject Jason X out of the like airlock of the space station, and the 2 survivors, I forget their names, like the guy and the girl, are like, I can't believe it's over. We did it. And then they look out the porthole and Jason X is flying at them, and they're like, oh no. And then they're like captain who got jettisoned before swoops in outside like Alpha Frame and knocks Jason X into the sun. It's so dumb, and I love it so much. Yes, Scooby knows exactly what I'm talking about. Best scene in Jason X.
Wait, I have a question really quick, because we're right here. Hey, did that Jason X thing happen before Ivan Ooze got nut kicked into the sun? Did that happen before that?
It might have been genuinely around this. I
think like before. The Jason X came out like I think somewhere in like the early 2000s. I think Power Rangers came out
2002 was the 90s. So there's a distinct possibility that Jason X got the idea of plunging the villain into the sun from the Power Rangers emergency nut kick.
Dude,
I'm so ready.
I've been waiting to get back, but Cider, when I was out on my trip one night, I went out drinking and I came home
in Bangkok,
and my sister, I wish, but my sister and I, we got home and I was like, oh, do you remember this movie from when we were kids? And I put on the Power Rangers movie, like a clip of it, and she's like, oh yeah, I remember it, but I didn't realize I had gone on YouTube and played like the whole movie, like it was just uploaded for free. So I watched it, and that movie is not. It's goofy, but damn if it's not like sort of weird, dumb fun. I don't know.
That's why I love it. I love it because it's like cheesy 90s goodness.
Wait, you have a sister?
I got 4, baby.
Are any of them single?
They all are. Would you like to date a nice Jewish woman? Weigh your options. You can be nice and married, but that would mean you'd have to be related to me. So pick your poison. Sammy, take it easy. Happy to see you, buddy. But,
the cat's like the loudest meow I've heard him make on this show yet. It's amazing.
Zeno wants to be heard.
It's true.
Yeah, but
Just
by the
like-
way, Nerdigans has her Cash App under her username tonight. Please support her. Please don't eat me cat fund, because apparently that's the thing now. We have to make sure that
We
you
have
know
to
we
keep
keep
her.
those
We have
cats
to keep
safe.
Zeno in. We have to keep her inside. Zeno's gotta
You
stay
never
inside.
know when there's like a Haitian immigrant somewhere in the bushes. So you know you got to be very very careful these days.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
see,
why
this-
I
this
invented
is-
this button right here. See, that's why I invented this button
What, Kitty? You got
right here.
something?
Forget I said that.
What, Kitty? You got something else to say?
At least I know that that is an interrupter bumper, and I don't keep talking for like 10 seconds with the filthy Frank one.
Right.
But yeah, see, like this is the level of sort of cope I'm seeing out of the Lord of the Rings of Power fan base, if you want to call it even that, is just like, oh, you haters must be seething. They sort of are. They think we care about this more than we actually do, right? Like, we don't want it to have 5 seasons because we think it's dumb, but we'll mock it the entire way. Like, we're not going to seethe over it. Like, enjoy throwing away your money. Enjoy, you know, wasting your time on something hyper subpar. We're not going to seethe. We're going to laugh at you, because go watch those old movies. Those old 3 movies still hold up. You don't need to watch this really, really bad fan fiction.
Well, and it gets bad because look, you get Galadriel's wife here. The way the 5 seasons have already been paid for and planned out, and they still believe it's going to get canceled just because they don't like black elves. Shake my head. Literally, the racism is unreal, but we will be laughing at them. All honestly, they can cope and seethe.
Let's see how well that tweet ages, because you never know if it will get canceled or not.
Well, a lot of people thought that we'll get into Concord in a little bit too, because boy, howdy, Spencer, I have such a tale to tell about
Yes, I
this.
can't
My
wait,
goodness.
Cider.
But Concord, they were so serious about this because Amazon has a show about games now, where they go in, they tell like it's like Love, Death, and Robots, but for gaming properties. So they warp them a little bit, so they're not dead on Mario, not dead on Donkey Kong, but it's a little different.
No, it's them. It's licensed. It's official.
Well,
That's
yeah, I
all-
know, but
everybody who's there. It's
but they
official.
don't tell you Mario walking around New York City. They give you a different version of the character, not because of copyright purpose, but they're telling an alternate story, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Just like you said, Love, Death, Robots, Animatrix, those kind of movies.
so we find out now that they had a Concord episode, a full episode dedicated to Concord. Okay, so Concord is not an Amazon product. It is a Sony product. And so what I'm driving at is that Amazon can make all this Lord of the Rings stuff they want, but the subsidiaries supporting the production itself and the root of their licensing can be pulled at any point. That's what Concord ran into, is that Sony said, hey, we're not doing this. It's over. Bye. And at any point, Embracer Group can step in and say, hey, man, we own the majority of this Lodor stuff, and we're going to pseudo own the rest. And then they're screwed, man. They're screwed.
And no, like I get what you're saying, but the thing is, Amazon has those specific rights, again, to those 3 paragraphs, and they're trying to do their best to stick within that, because even if Embracer says, hey, we're going to do a Lord of the Ring things over here, we're shutting everything else down, Amazon can still go, okay, cool, but your rights don't affect our rights, so we can still keep moving. Like, that's the big difference here, is that even if they, like, the Tolkien estate can't come back to Amazon and say, we don't want you to do this anymore. Unfortunately, because of all the contracts they sign, that's how it plays out. And honestly, given who's in charge now, Christopher, and the way he kind of doesn't really take care of the property, it would probably end up going that way anyway. So the thing with all of this is that it will go for 5 seasons. They're not going to back out of it. It's like Jacob said, they need to. We see this time and time again, right? Whether it's a video game like Concord, or a show like this, or a show like The Acolyte, or a movie like Ant-Man and the Wasp, or the Marvels, the Western entertainment industry is so full of themselves that they can't go, yeah, that was a bad idea, maybe we won't do that. They will see everything through to the very end, even if they know it's going to be a losing bet. Like they could go to a casino, and I know I keep going back to that analogy, but like, they could go to a casino, they could go to a craps table, an earthquake could strike the table and take out half of it, and you know, that half of that table had the double green zeros, and whoever, like, if Disney were at that table, they would go, I know it's gone, but I know that double zero is going to pay off eventually. Let it ride. Let's go for it, even though there's no possible way of it ever hitting.
You got me, but we are seeing a shift in Disney.
It's not Christopher, it's Simon. It's Christopher's son, Simon. Gotcha. Thank you, Leslie and DZ. I knew it was not Tolkien, obviously.
Okay. So what I wanted to drive at though is that we're looking at Disney doing a big shift with Marvel. That they got rid of everybody who could be considered an activist. That didn't shift up what they're doing entirely. They're still putting out stuff, but I think what we're dealing with is more like to borrow from what you were doing with metaphors. When you have to we have to turn a big ship, it takes a minute. It's not like an 18-wheeler even when you can wiggle waggle it around in the middle of the road a little bit and you'll eventually get turned around. It takes a hot second to turn a tanker around. And at this point, they have been going on pretty hard and fast with this stuff. So they've got a lot of projects that have to get out in order to fail so they can just get out of the way so they can move forward with a new programming schedule. So they may give this 5 seasons, but by 3.5, they may have Galadriel's husband eventually show up and say, you have been very naughty. I'm putting you over my knee. And
or
then,
they do the thing where it's like seasons 5 and 6 are prestige format and they're only like 3 episodes or 4 episodes or whatever they do nowadays.
Right. Well, again, like we might
to cut the production down.
Right. The 5 seasons may be shrunk down into like 90-minute specials, you know?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Then we're done. Or God forbid, they just turn it into Taylor Swift concerts. That's it. It's just, you know, it's pay-per-view Taylor Swift concerts that
at least
sell
they
under the
make
Lord
money.
of the Rings
At
name.
least it would turn a profit for them.
Have her do a concert for the last season, right? That's all it is. It's just her singing Lord of the Rings songs. The Bilbo Baggins song that Leonard Nimoy sang.
I want that more than anything. If I could see Taylor Swift on a stage wearing a Tom Bombadil like hat and bright yellow boots, I would lose my mind.
Right? And she's singing the Bilbo Baggins song that Leonard Nimoy came up with.
Yes. Even though they'd probably AI Leonard Nimoy to come sing it as well.
Like, oh yeah, like Tupac. Like they'd have him like the hologram, right? Yeah. They'd have to do the pop remix of
Nimoy to sing on stage.
And he twerks. Yeah, they'd make him twerk.
I want a rap concert where Tupac and Little Nimoy, I put them together in a rap concert.
Yeah, that would, you know what? See, I joked about this when AI first showed up with like type in what you want and get what you get one out of it, right? Kind of. I said that like in a few years, but you'd pay like $20 to your Warner Brothers app and say like, I want a movie about Leonard Nimoy and Tupac saving the Care Bears.
You've said this before, yeah.
Right. And you'll get that movie, but Warner Brothers gets all the copyright control out of it, and it can only be made out of the characters they have and plots they have license to, right? So that's the future, right? So if you want that, just like 2 more years, I am working with video AI for like another job, and it is there. It is like, what you need right now is it just getting consistency on a long form product. For the first 1 minute, you can get pretty solid, indistinguishable footage right now. After that, it starts to get really shaky. But as soon as they stabilize long form video production, right? You can just do that. You can just be like, I want the movie, and it goes have movie. And there you go. YouTube talked about this, okay? I want to stress this before we move into what GameSpot had to say about Rings of Power and the critics of it. I want to say this, and I lost my train of thought. I was talking about something important. Brain flat. What was I talking about?
We were talking about, Amazon, Rings of Power, AI video, YouTube.
Oh, yeah, YouTube announced, I'm sorry, so many things.
Give you the movie.
Right, so many things. YouTube said next year, in 2025, 80% of the content that will be uploaded to its platform will be AI generated. Not a machine making it from zero, but it will be music like we have here on Bounding, video, that sort of thing that'll be generated up. That's not to say that what the current upload schedule is with humans is going to stop or decrease. That's in addition to what you're putting out already on YouTube on a daily basis. That's what I'm telling you is coming already. Now, that's without you typing in want video about Kung Fu Frog killing the moon, you know? And you get a whole movie out of that and upload it to YouTube, all right? Just next year, 80% of the content you get to see on YouTube will be uploaded by an AI, from an AI product. Pretty
I mean,
interesting.
Here's the thing. I feel like we've already sort of seen that, because if you go on, and not just like right now, but like, let's say, a year or two ago, 3 years ago, when you go on like TikTok or Twitter or Facebook, and there's just like those, here's how, try this experiment thing, put an egg in the microwave and put a stick of dynamite in it, and hey, put it on for 30 seconds and you have a cake.
Put
or
this
whatever.
giant aluminum ball in your microwave.
Right, yes.
Dip it in bleach and see what happens.
Like,
Magic.
you see all of those videos, and I mean, if we want to get really into or not really into it because it's all weird stuff, but to bring it up, like remember the Spider-Man Elsa stuff that I am convinced was an MK Ultra experiment on kids?
Absolutely.
Like that is sort of the AI generation stuff we're going to see. Type in Spider-Man Elsa having baby Elsa foot fetish, and that's what you get, and then right on to YouTube.
Yep. And the thing is that I noticed this. Now, ChatGPT asks you to prove that you're not a robot before you can interact with it now when you go to the ChatGPT access page.
Oh, with like a captcha?
Which means that even AI doesn't trust AI.
Exactly. That's what's happened. There has been AI built to screw with AI now, and so it's putting up barriers against itself. That is, I don't know about you guys, but we could turn this into like AI conversation here, but back to the Rings of Power, we've got Jesse Earl from Gamestop taking aim at Critical Drinker over his opinions of, what was he talking about?
It was a gay ship.
Was it Rings of Power, Nerdigans?
It was a Lord of the Rings gay ship.
Oh, right. It was Frodo and Sam. It was Frodo and
yeah.
Sam. That's making the rounds again today.
You're kidding me.
Over the past like 48 hours or so. Yeah.
It's that time of the year or that time of the month. So now we got to get our monthly, our Sam and Frodo gay discourse going.
Look at this. Why are there no pronouns here? This is the
He
walking...
ran out of space.
He? I don't know. Like I'm like, come on, let's have a looky-loo. Like, look at this.
Sorry.
I know, right? Like, I had the same reaction when I was like, this is Jesse Earl? This?
I wonder if this person supports Palestine.
I'm taking a wild guess on that one, Jacob. Let's take a wild guess on that one. Something tells me. This is something... It's random.
I wonder if Trump is this person's president.
Or how they feel about resistance, right? How they feel about that. But anyway, this person in response person, I want to be careful here because it says Jesse Gender there. That it feels like all kinds of bait. But it says, this person says, it is earnestly hilarious to me how these folks have no idea that shit like Star Trek and modern fandom was literally built by women and queers writing fanzines about how much Spock was repressing how much he wanted to fuck her.
That is true, though.
I will say this. If the person was actually not being serious, that's kind of a funny response. The problem is they're being serious.
Yes.
Hey, for Joshi's safe fandoms, I swear.
So two things I want to point out. What was true about this is that a woman's passion for Star Trek, her passion did bring to life one of the first fanzines that helped the cast and crew know that they were doing a good job and helped them keep track of the lore. It also produced the very first fan fiction, as well as the very first self-insert fan fiction, Mary Sue, all right? The very first Mary Sue self-insert. Not gay, but did want to fuck Spock and Kirk at the same time. So, that's true, but the queer
there was also a lot of fan fiction about Kirk and Spock. Like that is a real thing.
The adventures.
There was not the adventures. I mean, like the adventures. Like there was a lot of Spock Kirk shipping fiction. That is
in the 70s, the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, there was. Even in the 80s, 90s, like that was one of the bigger ones.
But see, the problem was back then we didn't have the internet, so we didn't know how many weirdos there actually were back then.
Again,
In their own
I don't,
bubble.
I don't. Yeah, they're in their own bubble. I don't think we're dealing with any significant population. I just never, ever, ever heard about this existing in during the TOS times. I remember it existing in like this next generation because I grew up with all those. I used to write fan fiction. I wrote it for like 15, 17 years, ever since I was like 12 years old and with the internet for the first time. My stuff stuck with Power Rangers, though, but I read a lot of stuff because I was just fascinated with what other people thought about these worlds, and they thought a lot of things, I'll tell you. But especially about Riker and Picard.
1974 is apparently when the first popular Kirk Spock story was published in a zine. I just Googled it, so there we go.
Son of a... I'd never heard of that out of the TOS times. Like, of course, like as I said, in the 90s, but wow, way back then, and it got published.
No, I for one, I'm glad Star Trek is dead. Like, I don't regret its existence. We
Now,
need that.
is this person correct though that it kept the fandom for it going? Because again, I don't remember anybody saying anything.
I can't speak to that. I always feel there are very few properties where I think that people doing like shipping and thirsting over the characters keeps them alive. You know, it's it does happen. Don't get me wrong. We see it a lot.
It happens a lot.
Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, Vampire
Twilight.
Diaries is a really good example. Twilight's another one of those. So it does happen, but I can't speak to it in Star Trek. To me, that seems a little odd. I wouldn't say that I feel like that doesn't apply to Star Trek. I feel unless an old head out there can let me know about that weird period between like TOS and I believe TNG. Because that was a sort of
this would be a perfect episode to have like Tom Connors on.
Oh my god, we need Tom. Where is Tom? Where's the Bat Tom?
So this other person, Jesse goes on to talk about, of course, the Sam Frodo debacle, and these both can coexist. Sam and Frodo are a great representation of an emotional, vulnerable, platonic male friendship. They can also be gay lover. There is no way to read them because they're fictional characters. No one way to read them. You can read them either way. That's why art is so cool.
Okay, so I want to put... I'm going to play a slight devil's advocate here because I sort of agree with what she's saying, but she's saying it in the dumbest, most wrong way possible, right? Which is... I do believe you can go and look at other fictional characters or scenarios and go, look at how that applies to this sort of scenario. How can we take, if we want to look at it in this lens, how can it work? You can have analysis like that, but the problem is her saying there is no one way to read these. And it's like, yes, there actually is one specific correct way to read it. And that is how Tolkien wrote them, which is two dudes who are just dedicated bros who are trying to get the ring to Mordor, right? You can go and you can say, how does, maybe somebody goes, oh yeah, I would want to be in a relationship like that romantically. Maybe that's what somebody takes it away. Or maybe somebody writes their fan fiction. But to say that there's no right way to look at something, it's the same death of the author argument that we see all the time. Nerdigans, I know you've seen this a lot, but especially in the manga sphere with like Horikoshi or Oda, you have a lot of fans going, oh yeah, like a big rising piece of rhetoric across the internet is, yeah, the author made it, but they don't understand their work,
God,
right? So exactly what I'm talking about, Nerdigans.
Yeah.
And so that's becoming the argument now. And I absolutely detest that argument because yes, whether you're Tolkien or Oda or freaking what's her name, Robin DiAngelo with White Fragility, you went out to write a book with a specific intention and message to then go, oh no, you didn't mean it that way, you meant it this way that you never would have had an idea about. It's just it's ego, it's narcissism, it's I don't want you anywhere near me. I want you to sit down and shut up.
Well,
I have bear mace in my bag right now.
I just want to point this out. We're seeing a pattern with Jesse. Okay, we're seeing a pattern with Jesse and other like-minded people. What we see here, and of course, the writer of that fanzine way back in those days as well. is that two men spending an extended period of time around each other who are otherwise having to confess their innermost thoughts to one another during these adventures because they are intense and they feel their lives are either on the line or that this is the time to let this person know that they will survive because of these things. You know, like Kirk and Spock sharing the touching on the glass there when Spock sacrificed himself. That sort of thing. And they see this relationship with Sam and Frodo being in the same light as them having an intense relationship that maybe their dad didn't show them having with another man in his life. And this is what I get the vibe from is that
maybe their dad did show them. That's why they're in this position.
I like to lean into father figures being less nefarious and more awkward, but whatever. you can go with the abuse angle if you like. I just go with fathers, just kind of like, I don't know how to show love, so you figure it out, kid. There's Wikipedia articles on it. So the thing is that Jesse Earl is telling us secretly that this person doesn't process male relationships. This is 2 for 2 now, where they are seeing two men together on an adventure with one another and interpreting that they have to be gay in this scenario as an option. Not just simply recognizing that two straight men can have a harrowing time and be bonded through that adventure without being naked or kissing each other. They could just be really bonded to one another because of trauma.
It's really weird, like especially in like the realm of fantasy where you can pretty much do whatever you want within like the realms, like the universe that's created. Is like the first thing that you think of is just having two characters bang in some kind of way, right? It's like you're literally in an entire universe where you have like, elves and dwarfs and all these grotesque monsters and so much like lore that you can basically create your own story and run with it. You're just more focused on two characters banging one another behind a rock somewhere in the forest. It's like
people don't have ideas. They don't really care about making a comic or a movie. They just want their choices validated. Whether that's, my decision to not have kids, my decision not to go to college, my decision to go to college, my decision to move to Cal, whatever the hell it is, they don't want to be challenged. They just want whatever's on screen to go, you're so good, you're the best, you're doing like
even kind of in like the conflict of interest type, like perfect example of this would be like Batman and Catwoman, right? Like even if you were going to do a story where they hooked up and obviously had a kid, there's stories obviously about this, I'm just using it as an example, but like they use that they have a kid and then like kind of the story progresses into like the fallout of like their relationship and like what they produce. Like even that in of itself creates a story, but if your main story is just sex, then it's like that's not storytelling. It's just you trying to eke out your weird sexual fetishes on like, they like, and look, you can have your own like weird sexual fetish thing on like fictional characters. That's your thing, but don't try to project that onto like the whole world. It's like, hey, here's my sexual fetish. I want everyone to see it and accept it as canon.
That's exactly what I'm getting at with that whole, oh, you can read this any way. There's not one way to read a character. It's like they're trying to do that. They're trying to go, my read of Sam and Frodo is just as 100 as super gay lovers is just as correct as Tolkien's original intention of them being very close friends. That's what they're trying to do.
That's the thing too. And don't like gaslight people into thinking that it's not weird. That's the other thing that bothers me as well. Is like, put it to you this way: like they do this with like the Star Trek characters and like the Lord of the Ring characters. If I were to create like some kind of weird softcore porn harem with like all like the hottest Mighty Morphin Power Ranger chicks, and I made it really really weird and uncomfortable for everyone around, I wouldn't try to then gaslight you into thinking that somehow like my fetish is like normal, because people would be like, no, this is like a little bit too far for me. I'm getting the ick, as the kids like to say.
So
take that term.
It's so poignant right now, though. It fits so well. The ick. But anyway, so the situation I want to draw your attention to on this as a fanficker, as a former a recovering fanficker, if you will, when you read this stuff by people who are very into their gayness. You've met gays that are just, by happenstance, you find out that they're gay. It's not like Front Street, like undulating in front of children gay. You've met people that are just
it's
like,
not like
oh,
San
by the
Francisco,
way.
like,
Right. There's a rainbow tattoo on their face, Braveheart style, it's not like that. But so the understated gay in here doesn't do this, but the overstated gay does this, and the female obsessed with gays person does this. And what I'm telling you is that they don't tell a story about the characters being happily in love. In every single scenario that these people create, the love is taboo. And so they're having either violent or rushed or taboo sex with each other in these scenarios. They are not having slice of life experiences. When I wrote romance into my ye olde Power Ranger fan, don't look them up. I deleted them all. I'm smarter than everybody else. I know what'll happen. As soon as I got a name out on the internet, you'd look up the weird things I thought when I was 14. So no, don't bother. They're gone. But when I wrote these things,
$500 bounty right now.
Yeah, right. If you try it, you know, those are some fancy archive of the internets that knew who I was back in 2004. All right, but anyway, back in the day, the way that I wrote these things is that I wrote them as slice of life romances. They were not about the sex. They were straight, obviously, but they were not about these characters having sex. They were about them, you know, through the conflicts, bonding with one another and deciding that they had more in common than killing monsters and giant robots. And that's how I wrote these things. When I read fan fictions that were about gay couples, because I'm not into the sex, I do find it interesting how the emotional dynamics work, and that's how I noticed the pattern of it's always taboo. They never put it in a setting where being gay is okay. That is, it's always a battle, it's always a taboo, it's always wrong to be doing what they're doing, and that's the whole framing mechanism. And like I said, it leads into violent or taboo or rushed sex. It's never like a slice of life thing where Sam and Frodo are making bread and catching fish and just so happen to share a kiss in the moonlight. It's never like that. It is always them butt fucking somewhere in a cave while Gollum watches and jerks off in the corner.
Mm-hmm. And then there's like some squirrel off screen that just like runs away in terror.
Yeah, right. The little Ice Age squirrel that just happens to show up in everything, right? He's chasing nuts and he's like, not these, not these.
Just Bambi in the forest looking for his mom, and then all of a sudden, oh god!
He does that scream, scream that he does.
The only thing that gives Bambi losing his mom in the forest comfort was that image. My dead mom was only the second worst thing I saw in that forest that day.
To that, there is a bit of that. There's also the daddy dom little boy thing too that ends up leaking into this as well, because there's always got to be a character that initiates these activities because they're taboo. So that's always the character that comes in as seniority. They're never a fellow explorer. They're always the ones initiating from the know-how angle. So it's a bizarre thing, and it hasn't changed in 20 years. It's been the same damn thing. It's like, go look out your window. Is there anybody, like, I get it. Mom and dad probably have a problem with their kid being gay, right? But the average neighbor isn't like hosing down the gay kid out in the street. He's not like, go be gay somewhere else. He's not doing that.
Well, not in 2024, maybe
exactly.
like in the 50s.
Sure, but so there's no impetus these days, right now, today, to tell stories about taboo gayness. It's not in the USA anyway. Maybe in China, maybe in like Uganda, maybe in countries that out and out ban that activity at the cost of death. But like here in the USA, it is so wide open and celebrated.
If you're in Uganda, then
that's true. Everyone knows kung fu.
Put it that way.
But
I've seen Captain Phillips.
Yeah.
Wait, is that the movie, right?
One of them.
The Uganda movie, the like really
there's
bad.
Tons of them.
I know, but there's like Captain Alex. That's what it is.
Captain
that's the
Alex. Good one. Okay, yeah. It hasn't changed in a few thousand years. It's true, but that's what these guys are talking about when they talk about these fan fictions and these fan pairings. They're never just making bread. They're never just hanging out. They're never just like enjoying a life together. It is always this taboo, rushed thing where somebody is being very submissive and scared and the other person's being very dominant and confident. So, yeah, why are you gay? But why are you gay?
Why are you gay? That's the best clip ever put up to the internet.
Yeah, they said, VP, somebody said they wanted him as vice president. He's like, I am here. He's ready to go. And it says, Jesse Earl, though, goes on to say about their anger toward geek culture. They say, I'm tired of perpetual anger in geek culture. The outrage merchants have constantly bent every conversation in fandoms to their points because they always engage on grievance and anger. It's exhausting and takes up so much space. It's a decaying spiral into mental illness. The whole convo on the Acolyte centered around nonsense lore minutia. I find the talking about the show's ideas on policing and how well the show succeeds, fails in articulating it more interesting. But we don't have that convo because we're talking about some Jedi's age or whatever. I don't remember that
canon
being
is
a thing.
important. They think that canon is racist, apparently, because people hate the Acolyte because of the canon, and they don't like that. They think it's because of the show having black lesbians and POC. It's
it didn't help, but it wasn't the only reason.
Well, and again, I mean, you're dealing with someone who is saying that the people I don't like come out and gain power through grievance and anger, and really? Who burned down a city? Who burned down several cities again? Who's threatening to do that again? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Who did that?
Who would do something like that?
Yeah, who is death threatening over Amandla Stenberg's stupid video where she's doing her hair pretending to be superior to everybody on Earth?
Well, who was the one that launched a failed hate campaign? Oh, a TOS failed hate campaign. YouTube, like, destroying them was so awesome. And the person that launched the campaign, the YouTubing channel, rewriting Ripley, it's a feminist YouTubing channel, which just makes it even better.
I am going to share something, and I hope it doesn't pop up. It does. Okay, cool. That's great. Thanks very much, StreamYard. Appreciate it. Gonna wait for Spencer to drop back, but now you know we're gonna talk about Concord next, okay? If you don't,
is that still a thing? I thought it was dead.
It's not, actually, but the drama around it is still a thing, and it's becoming more of a thing.
It lasted longer than the game itself.
Yeah, the drama has lasted longer. Yeah, it's
8 years for 8 days of time. Like, that is my favorite. I keep uttering that. 8 months, 8 days.
Yeah, and
just
that,
like
that
2
is
weeks to stop the spread, 8 days, 8 years, 8 days.
2 more weeks, guys, and Sony said no.
Yeah, you ever want to see a complete? You ever want to see a complete and utter waste of your life realized in real time?
So if you're not from, go ahead.
But the thing that's funny about this whole thing is you have the Genshin boycott, Alkalite, and Rings of Power lasting longer than this.
Yep, a housefly lasting.
I mean, look at it like this. I mean, you know, when the economy's bad, you spend more time boycotting than actually having a job. Well, thanks, Harris.
So what happened
it's not
was
even boycotting. It's that you can't afford to do any of this crap.
So Sony saw the success of Overwatch way back about 2017-ish, and they decided we need one of those, and then proceeded to take the better part of a decade to crap it out, and it was a crap out. So
so it wasn't even so. It gets worse than that, because so the ones who said, 8 years ago, the devs of this game, Firewalk Studios, they said, hey, let's make an Overwatch game. Clearly something they caught, development started 8 years ago. Like Cider said, Overwatch dropped in 2016. That's when all the trends were going. It took them this long to make, but keep in mind, about 6 years into development, so maybe like 2 years ago, Sony saw what they had for Concord and went, that is such a good game. We need to buy this studio. So they bought Firewalk Studios on the basis of what they were showing for Concord, thinking it was going to be the most banger game of all time. And lo and behold, 8 years, 8 days.
And that's
look, I know I might be dating myself here, but I have to see how many people remember this reference. Remember an old show called Rocko's Modern Life?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Anyone remember the Wacky Deli episode of Rocko's Modern Life?
Nope.
Vaguely, I like see it in my head. I couldn't remember what
The
happened.
whole concept of the show is that Ed Bighead was like a super like popular, cartoon maker, right? So he wanted to get out of his contract. So he figured the only way to get out of his contract was to hire 3 buffoons to literally write the show for him, thinking that the show would be so bad it would be canceled. And it became a smashing success with the 3 idiots in charge, to the point where when he tried to get his own version of what his own artistic representation of the show was, it got canceled immediately because nobody wanted his vision at all.
Yep. Well, speaking of getting canceled immediately, these are the character designs from Concord, okay? Accompanied with a little bit of music. I turned it down so you don't have to stay quiet. But I renamed these characters because I couldn't remember their actual names. And wouldn't you know, my fake names are sticking better than the real names.
Are they really?
Yes. In the comments section.
I believe it.
Yep.
Oh, grandma.
Pretty much looks like a Mortal Kombat character. Would have been more interesting if that's actually what it was.
Projected Fortnite.
Are these rejected Tekken characters?
Tekken,
not even Tekken.
Scout Lord.
Yep.
Basically Josh Peck.
Saberly. Melted by
It's the only cool thing. I like that mushroom guy.
Metal.
I hate that thing.
Vampire dentist.
Vampire dentist.
Not Hulk.
Not Hulk Drax for sure.
Vapor.
Yeah.
Slimer. Yeah.
That's like the other fat one.
Unwed ancient auntie.
Can't confirm. Just hung out with a bunch of
So,
them.
if you check the comments section on that video over on this channel, you're going to see a lot of people using my names because nobody remembers the real names, and my names fit a heck of a lot better. And that's so many people especially love the Muncha Luncha name because they remember the the reference from it. So again, like
the
just
legacy of Concord. That's what it's going to go down being remembered for, is Cider's parody names.
I'm pretty sure we've got two parody songs going. We have one already up on the radio. We'll have it up on Bounding Radio on this weekend. We have 2 of them already. And they've got one of them's already got more views and concurrent peak players than this game ever had. All right, before it got shut down. And the other one's going to do the same because it's already people want it. They want to download it and own it. So what I want to say about this is that the parody materials out of Concord are going to be much more valuable than the game itself. Apparently,
That's sad.
Yep. And apparently Sony's aware of this. They started pulling it from people's libraries.
Yep.
So if you didn't agree to the refund, you got it anyway, and the game was pulled from your library. You couldn't use it anyway. You couldn't connect the servers.
Well, the refund was automatic. The refunds were automatic. Everybody got that. But yeah, this is a really bad sign that Sony just straight up, in case you guys didn't see, we have the tweet here, a reviewer or like a member of the mainstream press had a copy of Concord in their, like a review copy of Concord on their console, and they woke up today to find that it was removed from them. They couldn't boot it up at all. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it sort of makes sense, that you can't play the game anymore because it's offline, and really, who cares about Concord? But what this is sort of like a mask off sort of moment where if they could do this for a game that nobody wanted, what they can easily do this for any game. None of your digital purchases are safe because at any moment they can just flip the switch and go, it's ours now. And like, even if, maybe the person wanted to record a video about Concord and they wanted to say, isn't it funny? I try to go to the screen and hit multiplayer and it says servers down. Wow. Ha ha ha. Can't even do that because they said, no, you don't own that anymore. I mean, luckily they got refunds for it, but still, this is not the future that we should all be very excited about. An all digital future is very, very bad, which is half the reason why that new PS5 Pro is a complete disaster for Sony.
Well, this isn't the first time we saw this happen either. Remember what happened with the Funimation digital purchases?
Yeah.
They're gone. People can't own them anymore.
Right.
And
those are gone. The one I like to bring up is a couple months ago when Warner Brothers Discovery completed their, or I guess that's about a year at this point, but when Warner Brothers Discovery completed their merger, if you Discovery announced that, or they announced that, like, hey, if you bought any of our shows through the PlayStation Store, you don't have them anymore. We're taking that license away. So if you went out and you bought all your favorite seasons of Mythbusters, right, or American, I don't even know if that's a show on that network, but like American Pickers, and you love them and you're watching them, all 20 seasons of those shows, gone, and there's nothing you could do about it. They didn't give you any credits. They didn't refund you anything. They didn't say, oh, go select 8 other shows. They just said, not yours anymore. And it's bad. It is bad.
Yep. Well, and so on top of all that, we had the lead designer come out and say, it's not my fault. Lead designer on this for 8 years, Amanda Kiefer, I think. She came out. Now, she's locked her Twitter again. So everybody we've talked about today, please don't take this as an initiative to go out and harangue them or give them trouble over their opinions. We're here to laugh about them here, so we're not laughing to their faces, because quite obviously they can't take it. So over here, we're hanging out. We're having a good old laugh at Jesse Gender there, having a freak out about the Acolyte and Star Trek and all the other things there, the Fellowship of the Ring, all that. Okay, it's okay for that person to have their opinions. We don't want to go out there and bother them about that. We're over here to be, haha, that's very silly here. Same with Miss Kiefer. She will eventually return to active status on her Twitter account. We would recommend and please ask that everybody watching this currently and in the replay, please don't bother her. She's a very sensitive young lady, or I don't know, middle-aged lady at this point. But she's a very sensitive lady. So it's not a wise idea to push the buttons of a person like this, because it's not our prerogative to troll people. We're just here to laugh at their absurdity in this space. That's all. So before we get into that, I just want to make that clear, because there has been people saying that people on our end of this spectrum have been going out and raising hate mobs and causing people to do death threats and stuff. So I just want to make sure that at least on camera, we're making it clear that that's not our goal to harangue, harass, or otherwise bother people over their opinions on the internet. We're here to laugh at them in our space. That's it. And,
Well said. No, couldn't have said it better myself. I agree. So
this is what Miss Kiefer had to say about her work on Concord over the last 8 years and how it's not her fault. This is in response, by the way, to a redesign of one of her characters. She couldn't handle just a random guy posting a redesign. I'll look for it just after we read this, but here we go. I was going to DM you after seeing this, but this site makes me pay to do that. So at the risk of getting dogpiled, I'm going to say this here. A lot affected the art side of Concord, including design by committee, failure of some leadership to listen to the art team, etc. The character concept art team, including myself, is going through an extremely difficult time emotionally, and some on the team no longer want to work on games, design characters, or even do art anymore after this. Because of this, posts like yours, though understandable, are unfortunately ill-timed. None of us know which way the wind will blow at the studio. We are worried sick and terrified of the future. Not only that, but we have been shouldering the brunt of the emotional labor as executives/directors dodge most of the blame. Behind the scenes, all of this talk about Concord and character designs, people's livelihoods are at risk, and there are very real financial consequences that might hurt us even more. That's just what I can say from our point of view. I'm not saying change course or anything. Us artists like being able to use social media to promote our work and get more jobs. But I'm saying we see this, and it does absolutely affect us, since we just got our teeth kicked in.
Okay,
and I'm like,
yeah. No, go ahead.
I just want to say, like, lady, you're the lead designer. Whose failure of leadership happened here? So, you had 8 years too.
I am going to play devil's advocate here to a certain extent, because yes, she is the lead art director, but her point about this was a failure of art by committee, of leadership not listening to the art team, I fully believe that actually was the case. Because if we look at Concord, what we're seeing is a game where studios tried way too hard to make it appeal to everybody. They sanded off every edge. There's no direction. a game for no one or a game for everyone is a game for no one is what this game makes me think of, because everything is safe. We look at those designs, right? You look at like what was his name? Scout, whatever
Scout
the heck
Lord.
his name. Scout Lord. You can see exactly what went into that, right? We need a male, but he can't be too tough and too macho, but he can't be too wimpy. And we're going to give him a little bit of gear, but not too much gear. Like, you can see everything that went into that. Or with the black tank lady, where we've seen her original design, which was very French comic book, tank person. And then somewhere along the lines, they slapped purple lipstick on her and gave her a weird, I don't even know what this piercing is called, and threw a literal red flag on her shoulder. So to me, that I do fully believe that Sony or whoever they put in charge of Firewalk Studios shoulders a lot of blame for this, because if you have a boss going, if we are artists, we can go, here's a great design all we want. But if our boss goes, I don't want that, I want this really ugly looking fat digger person with goggles, then we have no choice but to say, all right, then we're going for it. Now, my sympathies for her end there, because all of that, the secondary stuff about her going, this is ill-timed, you shouldn't be doing this, we have no idea where the studio is going. I get that sucks, but also your game was fundamentally bad. Everything that went into it was at some level bad. So you have to, it's sort of like what you were saying earlier, right? Where back in the day, people weren't trying to convince us that their weird fetishes were normal. Nowadays, they're trying to convince us that, oh yeah, it's completely normal for, or like, just don't be mean to us. We have no responsibility in any of this. This is so unprecedented. And it's like, look, guys, my sympathies do go out to you, but at a certain extent, you have to realize, like, yes, we did work on this. Even if leadership was the cause for it, you can't sit here and go, oh, don't be mean to us, we don't know what's happening. You guys probably do know what's happening, and it sucks, but that's not on us to mitigate. We are the fans. You sold us or tried to sell us this $40 piece of garbage. Of course we're gonna mock it. Of course we're gonna laugh at it.
Of course.
Of course. And it's not just like our side or like our sphere, right? This is everybody. This game was a textbook failure. If we go into the dictionary and look up failure, Concord's picture, not Yondu, is going to be right there. Timu Yondu will be right there.
Timu Yondu, yeah, yep. That's definitely it. But this is the redesign, I think, that started it. She's locked her tweets, so I can't go and look at the root of it anymore.
Oh yeah, I believe
available.
This is it. Yeah.
So I think this is the one that started. And this guy did this on the bus ride home. So he was on a city bus, just doing this to pass the time, and did this. And this woman responded with that novel. And what irritates me about that is that not only did this guy care enough, I mean, it's not a lot, but not only did this guy care enough.
I wouldn't say he cared, but
I do, because like if you've talked to these artists enough, you know that this isn't just random. These characters stand out to them for a reason. He chose Imari above everybody else, even Daw. He mentions that Daw is a challenge. And so he chose Imari here for a reason, as opposed to like doing another Sonic doodle, doing another Princess Peach doodle. He chose Imari for a reason, and I think she should have.
It wasn't because he liked Imari specifically. It was more of a challenge type thing, right? Like, as an artist, I know what he's saying. You see that and you go, oh, I can do better than that. Like, I've redesigned characters I don't care about from properties I don't care about, just because I get that sort of art itch to do it.
Exactly. But that's what I'm telling you, is that apart from any other character he could have chose from, he's choosing one of the Concord characters, especially Imari, to do this. And instead of being hostile toward him like that, instead of trying to crucify him with all the problems she's dealing with in her life as repercussions for her own actions over the last 8 years, she should have said, hey man, this is a pretty cool design that you came up with here. Keep up the good work. Wow, what reverberations that would have said. She probably would have been hired on the spot had she done that instead.
Don't even engage. Like, this is what I don't understand about not just like big developers, but a lot of people on the internet, is like, you are under no obligation to have to engage with, a fan, a troll, a critic. If you're doing that, that's on you. Like, so to me, she saw this and she could have easily gone, this sucks, and moved on. Or she could have gone, this sucks, and gone to like the Firewalk Studios Slack chat, right? And gone, man, is anybody else feeling bad about this? But instead, she went and she made this public show out of it, right? Again, if she'd have just said something quick along the lines of like, oh man, this is a bummer, you know, to see because our studio just shut down, fine. But she has this whole spiel, this, I don't mean to say this and I don't mean to say that, but have you all considered this? And it's like, no, this is not full, like, about you.
Right. It hasn't been about you for a while, but there's a lot of people out there that say, you know, this design by committee thing is what caused the problem. I'm not pointing you out, Spencer. It's been a lot of people's opinion.
Oh, yeah.
That Concord was like too many studio getting involved in here, too many suits saying what stuff should look like, need to trans this, rub off the female edges to this, that kind of stuff, you know? Well, we went and took a look at Amanda's art station, and as it turns out, she actually has a penchant for manifying women and uggifying most designs that she decides to redesign. But I see two men here. I don't see two women at all, but
I see two women with faces that are in that uncanny valley between too realistic and stylized, and that, you know, perturbs me, but I do not see men here.
No. I see more androgynous than anything else. If you're gonna go towards like between man and woman,
for me, it's too borderline. If it's too borderline, you might as well just be a dude. I mean, that's just me.
But
like what you're seeing here is this stuff has more personality than what we got with Concord. Right?
Yeah.
If Concord came out and it had some semblance of personality, even if they leaned fully in and said we are being a neo-puritanical SJW specific game and that's what we want and we're designing for that crowd, it would at least have a personality. We'd still be making fun of it, of course, don't get me wrong, but at least it would be made for somebody.
In all honesty,
with some intention.
To that, I would say, if you wanted to make a video game for that crowd, like, first of all, you have to prove to me that this audience that you guys are seeking actually exists. Because I don't think there's been a single property in like the last 10 years, whether it's video game, movies, or television, that has tried to pander to that crowd and actually been a success in doing so. Like, if you want to be like, hey, this is our audience, this is what we're going for. Yeah, like I said, like you keep telling me about this modern audience, then you end up getting canceled after one season. So that tells me that you're chasing an audience that just isn't there. So first, just find the audience first, and then pander to them. That would be probably the preferable step of the course of action. I mean, I don't know.
You know, they're going to say, they'll say that, oh, Baldur's Gate 3 did that. And it's like, Baldur's Gate 3 was for everyone though. Like, it didn't have that.
It did though. Like that's sort of the problem where people are trying. I feel like in a lot of the recent discussion around Concord and a lot of the stuff in our sphere, we're sort of losing sight of what we should be calling out, and people are just flailing at everything to go, this is that, this is that, this is that. And I feel like to me, yes, is her style off-putting? Sure. But there's a personality there. It would have looked like something she had, more creative control. And again, that's her specific art style isn't necessarily the one that would have made it into the game. You have concept artists, you have stylization that goes in at the modeling level. I do believe that this is a suits, this is suits, because while they probably had some level of this at the very base, it probably wasn't front and center and made the priority like it was eventually. For example, here is, I'm going to shoot it over if I can find the window where our StreamYard is, because I have 700 open. All right. I sent over in the back a tweet that has the original concept art for the tank Amari lady that I was talking about, right? And you can see when Cider gets it up, you'll see that it does have some of that the very basic aspects of that character there. It's a big black lady, it's a tanked out lady, but even with that design philosophy, the one on the left, it has personality to it. Look at how her midsection looks like guts. Look at how she has battle scrapes all over herself. Look at how she's got this determined super helmet that looks like, a space marine. On the right, they threw all of that away to go make her the most stereotypical thing you could have made possible. give her the lipstick, give her the.
They removed the red flags, which I thought was the funniest part of the whole bit.
I know. I feel like it's still there. I know I've taken screenshots with her having a red flag on her shoulder.
It is
I
there.
feel like it was there at some point. Maybe they removed it, but I know she had it.
No, it is there. It is there. And all the promotional images they have of her, she's there. It's the angle she's standing at because it's on her backpack. It's not mounted on her shoulder.
So
it's
like
on her
back
back
here.
And it's a single red flag. So it's like a golf flag.
It's a single red flag. That's even dumber. I don't get that. It is a putt golf flag for no reason.
Well,
But it's like this is like modern Overwatch though. Remember like the newer Overwatch characters? Like you see some like kick-ass black character, and then the final design, it's like janked in the face, and it looks so.
But even those janked those final characters have more of a personality than this. Right?
That's
like
true.
I see somebody, what is that new character? Life Weaver, or there's that new one that's like non-binary over in Overwatch. Don't remember whatever that kid's
There's
name
like
is.
4 of them now.
I know at this point.
There's 4. Wait, Blizzard's gotta cover something up.
I look at those characters and I go, I can see somebody realistically wanting to buy an action figure of that, or somebody saying, I want to draw that. I would wear a shirt with that design. I see this, and this is
boring.
Nothing. This is sauceless. This is auraless. Like there's nothing to this outside of, clearly they wanted to avoid anything that could be misconstrued as negative, and they wanted to make sure everybody was strong and independent and didn't need no man. And then you end up with this.
Well, there was someone who had a better take on it, and I like it. I think it's a hole-in-one here. It's a hole-in-one. You've got Saint Seiya, Reboot, and a little bit of Sailor Moon.
Gundam Breaker?
Yeah, I was thinking Gundam. That was the first thing that came to my mind, was like Gundam, maybe even a little Sentai.
Yeah, sure. And Booba, above all. And that's what we discovered while we were making a video about this. Yeah, it's when I was making the video about this, I discovered, when you're not so sure about a design, just add Booba. Like, look what happened to Muncha Luncha. You got the main character here as it was introduced. I don't know if that's a male or a woman.
Back in the 90s, and they made it to now.
And then Booba. And then it's like, wow, Muncha Luncha is way more interesting of a character now. I am thoroughly interested.
Muncha Luncha got a BBL and started, going to Miami. And
So, speaking of all that,
do we see BBLs anymore? I feel like that trend died this year.
No, I mean, it depends on the city. There's still a couple of cities where it's still going.
Miami, it's still there from what I know.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Follow your nose. But,
I don't want to follow that nose.
Yeah, right?
Not to that location.
Miami might be the only city where it's still like a big thing. Like maybe that in Vegas, but yeah.
So there was a meme that
Vegas
went
is
around.
everybody coming in from Miami, so.
Yeah.
There was a meme that went around that was kind of encapsulating the true failure of of Concord. I get things mixed up. Sorry, I get things mixed up. It's a little bit Freudian slip there. A little Freudian slip.
Oh,
but here we go.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate test of a failure.
Rule 34.
But
even they don't want it. That's bad.
Well, hold on. About a day later, the internet took that challenge and decided to correct that mistake. I'm not going to show you what's under those tags, but I assure you, it's horrible.
It is a horror beyond human comprehension.
I mean,
that's true.
Let's be real. Like, Rule 34 is what's saving
If we click
Overwatch.
on that, it's the pouring out of the first bowl, right, Jacob?
Boring.
Exactly right.
Gross.
Nerdigans, how many of these were you directly responsible for?
I can't draw, so I'm not.
Show us your
responsible
commission
for anything.
receipts.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one got me. You have Pepe Frog as the Sony boy, and he's falling over, and Concord spilled all over the floor.
I think, to me, that's my favorite sort of punctuation or storyline in this entire debacle. Is, if you guys don't remember, a couple years ago, Sony had a PlayStation studio called Japan Studios, and they were in charge of making a lot of the more quirky video games that Sony was putting out. Things like Ico and Tokyo Jungle, which is one of my favorite games of all time, and the I'm forgetting one off the top of my head that is like really important. Oh, Gravity Rush. Like they were putting out those games. And a couple years ago, Sony shut them down completely, said we're not doing Japan studio anymore. We are you're either fired or we're moving you off to different teams. Now, the only survivor, they did that in order to start reallocating resources to their other studios, like Sony Santa Monica with God of War and not Naughty Dog, or no, it is Naughty Dog with Last of Us, and of course, Firewalk Studios with Concord. When they did that shutdown, they let one sort of subsidiary studio that was like a studio within Japan studio called Team Asobi, they let them exist still. They said, okay, you guys can keep going because they were the team directly responsible for the Astro Bot titles. Like this is a new one, but it is, I think, like the 4th game in the series. So Japan studio wiped off the face of the earth. Team Asobi is the only one left. Sony goes out, and over the last couple of years, they put out games, but none of them have really been, universally revered. Yes, you have the critical darlings like God of War Ragnarok and Spider-Man 2, but then there's such a disconnect between them and audiences that it really has put Sony in a sort of limbo spot. I mean, we were talking, but I was talking with friends earlier, and like their reputation now is just sad dad walking simulators. That's what it is, right? And no, we talk, damn you. All right, no fake news over here. But and now there goes my entire train of thought.
You're welcome.
It was that
damn
easy.
you, Cider. It'll come back to me.
It's a talent. But yeah, I'll just fill in while we're going here. This Astro Bot.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. It's very easy to confuse these things. Astro Bot, as you can see, takes a lot of licensed inspiration from other properties and lets you play sort of mini games, small challenge, achievement unlock kind of games as themed Astro Bots. As you can see, you got Kratos here, and then you've got whatever this is with frogs and that tongue thing coming to get you. Reminds me of nothing. So there we go. And you have cool little swamp scene, the little guy playing around. But this is the fun part. He's flying on a Sony controller. He's not flying.
Like Little Big Planet meets like Pikmin.
Well, so it's funny you should bring that up because there was a meme going around a little earlier, and I just had it, and we're just having a ball tonight, losing trains of thought, losing media all over the place. Somebody had the same thought about that, Nerdigans, that
this is basically Little Big Planet.
Well, Sackboy, here's the meme of it right here. It's Sackboy watching Astro Bot replacing him in all the PlayStation marketing.
That's hilarious.
I can see that. Yeah. That feels correct.
Even with the space theme and the like old school like Nick theme, it all works together.
Yeah.
So there were people online.
I liked Little Big Planet more. I don't know if Astro Bot you could do that though. You could make levels like you can with Little Big Planet. Because Little Big Planet, you could get so creative and people like me all kinds.
I'm sure it's coming.
This one's different than that, Nerdigans. This isn't about creating. This is more of just a standard platformer, but close with the cuteness and the respect to other PlayStation franchises.
Yep. And there were some people online that thought there was things that were a little too close to Nintendo. And, I don't know really about that, but I think it's just like Spencer pointed out in our Slack that this is basic platformer stuff that Astro Boy's doing. Astro Bot. Yeah. I'm stuck with Astro Boy on my mind. Astro Bot. Yeah, and so
but it just makes me think again. This is kind of like Little Big Planet because Little Big Planet, there were people that recreated Nintendo levels, if I remember correctly.
Yep, and so this does pull a lot. There's a lot of people saying that this does have that feel of a Nintendo game, and there's been a lot of jokes. The Jake Paul putting on the glasses and pretending he's seeing color for the first time. And it's juxtaposed with Astro Bot footage of just Astro Bot jumping over some stuff. And
whoa, good game. Whoa.
yeah. And they're like, oh, this is Sony players experiencing a real video game for the first time. And they're like in tears crying with the footage below them. It's great. And then this one poked up that you find a dead Astro Bot. And it's like, oh, Concord cameo in Astro Bot.
That's pretty good.
That one's funny.
Cold, but
cold-blooded.
This game is definitely going to be around for a long time. You're going to see a lot of sequels to it, and you're definitely going to be seeing Astro Bot take over basically the Mario role with PlayStation. This game has been such a massive success, and because there's so much PlayStation iconography in it, he's absolutely become the mascot of the brand overnight. So
I'd love to see it. Like, I would love to see a Little Big
tried
Planet.
to make him the mascot for a little while, like through
yeah,
PS3, right? Like that's when he first showed up.
Astrobot did. I don't
Pretty
remember.
sure, right? I can't remember. I know he's not PlayStation 2 era. That's at least I know.
No,
that.
he's not PlayStation 2 era. I don't know if he was PS3 era. He might be PS4 era, but he's definitely not. I don't think he's PS3 era.
Yep, we found him.
Yeah, PS3 era is Little Big Planet. I know it's Little Big Planet for sure, but I don't think it's Astrobot.
Hmm.
But I would love to see them do. If PlayStation was
you're
smart.
right. He started on PS4.
I knew it. I'd like to just see a crossover with Astrobot and Little Big Planet, though. That would be a smart thing to do. Because then you have like the whole creativity. You could do like futuristic meets old school, and then you bring
Sackboy's
in
in Astrobot.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot.
There's a whole series of levels dedicated to it. I think half the game is like set up to be a tribute to.
Oh, to Little Big Planet?
Yeah, the Little Big Planet. Yeah.
Man, then it's been a while since I played it.
Hey, you've got your PlayStation.
I got my PS4, so
consider adding that to your wish list. I'm sure there's a nice fella out there that would like to get you for that for Hanukkah. So
Simps. I don't know the lyrics to the song yet, but I'm referencing the song from the beginning.
I'm glad I was
Not
right.
even singing it right. Simps,
Yeah.
simps, simps,
See,
simps.
I knew it wasn't PS3 because I was working at GameStop when the PS3 was becoming big. So
what a time. What a time.
God, I feel old.
Well, speaking of things getting big, you guys remember The Onion, right? That was a thing for 5 minutes. Well, they did a funny little fake news thing about Sony's new release.
It's being called the biggest fucking waste of your hard-earned money to come along in years. Sony's new stupid box thing hit the shelves at crowded malls and overpriced electronics stores around the country today.
It's got a whole bunch more memory and megapixels and whatnot than any of the other TV shit that I already have. I can't wait to get home and spend my whole fucking night trying to figure the goddamn thing out.
Yep. And that's, I can't play the whole thing because obviously we'll get clipped for it, but that's how it goes. But yeah, The Onion, you wrote the story. How about it?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, in case you guys, I actually didn't write the story. In case you guys didn't see the announcement yesterday, Sony confirmed that their upper management has absolute brain damage because they have announced the mid-console or the mid-generation refresh of the PS5. I don't know who this thing is for. Like, I genuinely don't. So if you didn't catch the news yesterday, there's a new PS5 console. It is called the PS5 Pro. It is going to, if you buy it, it's going to give you 2 terabytes of solid state storage. It's going to give you advanced ray tracing and better performance. And
herpes.
All of that for $799 American dollar dues. Whole
That's
package,
stupid.
you would think, except in addition to those $700 dues, if you want the vertical stand so your PlayStation can stand upright, which has been a feature of the console since the PS2, $30 extra, please. And if you want a disc drive so that you can buy physical games and not have to digitally download everything, you're looking at another $80. So if you want the full PS3 package, you are looking at a grand total of about $810 for a single console. And what really, aside from the fact that this is a bonkers price point, like, do you guys remember when the PS3 was announced and they said it was going to cost $700 and everybody rightfully said, get the hell out of my face? We're seeing that happen again right now, because in case you guys, in case anybody out there isn't aware of Sony's current health, PlayStation doesn't really have any games, right?
No.
Like, I know it's a meme, but damn if it's not true. Every exclusive they get is either really, really bad, like Concord, or it eventually goes to PC, like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Marvel's Spider-Man. So right now, it's sort of like, I think the only apps, like the killer apps for the PS5 are currently Spider-Man 2, because that doesn't have a PS or a PC release date. Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and Astro Bot. Like, that's all you really would buy a PS5 for. Maybe you're one of those people who needs a good Blu-ray player or something for your setup. I can't speak to that because I feel like there's 900 cheaper options, but you do you in that regard. I can't speak to it. But just as a games console, I am like stunned that Sony thought that this was a good idea to charge people out the ass for a console with less features during a time when their reputation is completely in the toilet. And not just for video games. Like, I know we're complaining about the PS5 now, but if anybody here has watched any video game channel on YouTube, whether that's somebody like Skill Up or somebody like our girl Colt Casa Cage, like, the PS5 has been a piece of mockery for years. Again, it's been 4 years of that thing's life cycle, and we still only have 3 games that are exclusive, with 2 that are very likely to go to PC. So I don't know what they're trying to pull. I don't really know who outside of very, very, very diehard shills is going to pick this up. But what are you thinking? Can I have some of what you're smoking, please? I cannot fathom this.
You know who has something to say about this?
People will buy anything. That doesn't mean you should do it. People.
I do want to say this, though.
That doesn't mean you should do it.
Fucking Todd.
I want to say this, though, because Spencer mentioned the PS3. Here's the difference between the PS3 and what we're seeing with the Pro. PS3, when it came out, you had the 20, and I think it was the 80 at the time, right? Difference between that and this is, one, you can, and I don't know if the PS5 you can do it, but I know with the PS3 and PS4, you can replace the hard drive. So you can, Sony even has it on their website, shows you how to replace the hard drive, and you can put a solid state hard drive and upgrade the hard drive. Also,
yeah,
you have
that 5 too.
Yeah. And also you have complete backwards compatibility with the 20 gig and 80 gig PS3s, which is, you don't have it. I'm still pissed they didn't do that for the PS4. That's so stupid. That's all I wanted. This
That's
PS5,
all anybody wants. They won't do it.
It's so dumb. PS5 Pro, you don't have any of that. So like
the way Nerdigans that this could have actually won some level of favor is if they went, here's $700, blah 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 blah. But guess what? Full PlayStation backwards compatibility. PS5,
1, 2,
4,
3,
2,
4.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You put it in this console, it will play. If they said that, they would have something. But as it stands, they got nothing.
Well, the other thing I do want to mention in regards to the PS3 console as well, when it was coming out at the time, is this is when Blu-ray was starting up and coming. So like there's that going for it too in terms of its price point.
That's
so,
a
like,
really good point.
So like with PS3, you have an argument for the high price point because Blu-ray was starting. You had the full backwards compatibility. And
to be clear, folks, Nerdigans is right in that you have an argument for it. That doesn't mean we agree that that thing should have come out at $700, but Nerdigans is right that there is more justification for it.
Yeah, it sucks that it was, but like that's
right. Yeah, exactly. Bingo.
Yeah, but there's just more justification because of all the features you had. But the thing is, the difference between like a PlayStation and an Xbox, though, and this is why people, at least why I got in on PlayStation, is because unlike Xbox, you can actually, you can adjust it. So mod it. There we go. You can mod your PS4 or PS3 or PS5. Sony doesn't care. As I said, Sony has it on their website how you can mod your PlayStation and add as much memory as you want.
There's a difference here between this. This isn't modding in particular because Xbox offers this as well. You're not changing anything to the real hardware. You're expanding its hard drive. You can't go into a PS5 and an Xbox and give it more RAM or give it a better processor. You can only go in and do hard drives.
Yeah. But like, I don't know if you could do, I know with Xbox 360 you couldn't do it because this is again the reason why people got in PS3.
You could, but it was a proprietary one. And then with the Xbox One, they changed it to just regular hard. You can just buy any old hard drive.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, but that's why I'm looking at Sony with this, because considering all the technology that's out now, considering Blu-ray is like a mainstay, you have solid state hard drives you could get for pretty reasonable price. There's no reason
Right.
that for this price point. None.
Well, to your point, Nerdigans, that's exactly what I was sort of going to get to next, is that with you bringing up, like, you can expand your hard drives and stuff, you can go out and you can buy a decent, you know, either internal SSD or external HD for a fraction of the price that it would cost you to buy an official PlayStation hard drive. They work the exact same, but you don't need to spend the extra $70, $80. And that's what I sort of see here. It's like, do we need ray tracing? In case people don't really know what ray tracing is, it is basically the latest leap in lighting technology that's supposed to give more active and realistic reflections off of puddles and glass surfaces and stuff like that. It looks really pretty, don't get me wrong, but we're at a point now where, you know, back in the day, Super Nintendo to N64, PlayStation 2, all that, those generation jumps, graphics jumped amazingly. We had so many technological leaps and bounds. Now, you know, the next time we as a society are going to go, whoa, graphics, that's crazy, is when VR is fully immersive and we can, you know, like high five Goku or whatever in VR. That's the next time we're going to go, that's crazy. Until then, anytime they go, look at these new graphics, look at these new graphics, you're essentially just getting a tech bro demo of the technology. It does not matter if you can see an extra bit of light in Cyberpunk 2077 for the game, right? It's nice. It's like, oh, that's a neat. I saw a reactive shine, but it doesn't affect your overall experience. And that's, so to that end, if you market a console at, you know, me and go, oh, you want this because you get ray tracing, I go, I'm not paying $700 to ray trace a game that doesn't exist. Like, the PS5 has no games. So like to that, you don't need to go out and buy this big ass console for these minuscule upgrades and, you know, external, and it's a super expensive hard drive. Go buy an old PS5, which are now being offered refurbished by Sony on their website for $350. Buy that, give it a hard drive, and you are good to go. You can get, you know, a 10 terabyte solid state if you wanted to for the price of that 2 terabyte solid state that Sony would give you. It's just, Leslie said it in the chat, but it is very much the Disney method of nickel and dime the hell out of you at every single turn. Because remember, like, this is on top of things like you have to pay for online. You have to pay for PlayStation Network now. You have to do all these things to access the services. It's no longer about how can, you know, remember the old GameStop logo? I know you do, Nerdigans, the power to the players, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist. That mentality, even if it was facetiously made as a marketing ploy back then, it doesn't exist anymore. They don't care about the players. They care about their, you know, pleasing their stockholders and getting money out of you. And so like this to me, maybe I'll pick one up and I find it in a Goodwill in 40 years, but I'm not rushing out to buy this.
But like, I don't remember if PS5 has a 4K player or not, but if it didn't have a 4K player, I'd say if you wanted to do that for a PS5 Pro, I'd be like, okay, that's a reason to get a PS5 Pro is out of 4K player. And full
you mean just regular like 4K and stuff? That is standard on a PS5. Yeah.
Okay, that's what. Okay, I wasn't sure, but yeah, like if you for a PS5 Pro, if you would have just done full backwards compatibility and a large solid state hard drive, I think you would have maybe sold, and maybe even have like a bunch of games or something on it. I don't know.
Well, do. The one cool thing about the Pro is that you do get Astro Bot. It does come pre-installed on the console, so you get the game, like, you know, the killer app for PlayStation. But then after you beat that, and, you know, honestly, guys, it is a platformer game. It's really good from what I've been seeing from everybody I've talked to. You know, my buddy, our good buddy, Jonas J. Campbell over at That Park Place and all those channels. He and I were talking. He loves it. He plays it with his kids all the time. It's a solid game, but it's not one of those ones that's going to, you know, keep you coming back once you're done with it, or that you're going to pop in when you get super nostalgic. So it's good, but it's not. I don't know about its shelf life, which just goes back to support the argument that Sony has no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, it's not like back in the day when you had, like, remember back when PlayStation 3 first came out and they were starting to put out games that were experimenting with the new technology, like Folklore? where
Yeah.
you actually had to use the motion controls to like cast spells and all that. Oh god, that was so good.
I hated
so,
that.
But like,
So
I hated that, Nerdigans, because I bought the lie or the marketing angle for the Wii, that like the Wiimote and everything would perfectly track your hands, and I played Wii Sports and I was like, this is awesome. And then I bought Budokai Tenkaichi 3 or 2, the Dragon Ball game, because I was like, Dragon Ball game on the Wii, I can do all this. Can't do jack.
No, this is different.
They say you can do it.
Different.
You can't do jack.
I mean,
this is
technically, you
different
can
with
like throw your
Folklore.
remote into a $6,000 television. You can do
It's the
that.
only way for it to register.
No, but this is different with Folklore, because what it was doing was it was using the new PlayStation controller technology at the time, and there was very few games that did.
I know what game you're talking about now.
Yeah,
Okay,
Folklore.
Yes. This is
Yeah,
different.
Folklore
this is
was
different. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very different. I just
the
remember
controller technology, not the motion
not like the
cameras.
not the Wiimote kind of thing. Now, PlayStation hasn't done anything experimental like that in a minute. So, like, if Sony had something like that coming out to utilize their newer technology with the PS5 Pro, then maybe you could make an argument for it.
Okay, just to that specific point, I know what you're saying, and on business fundamentals that makes sense, but to me,
it still doesn't justify the problem.
Well, it doesn't justify it, but to me, like, I hear the prospect of, okay, Sony doesn't have anything now. They don't got no games. They don't have a great console, but now they're releasing something. And if you buy that console and this new technology, you can play this one great game. I don't really know if that's, like, to me, that makes me go, like, dude, fuck you. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm going to stick with my console and play my regular games. So, like, if Sony had a reputation at this point of you buy a Sony console, you'll get great games again, then I think more people would, be ready.
And backwards compatibility.
Like, but because right now everybody knows if I pick up a Sony game, there is a 90% chance it's either going to be bad or boring. I don't think anybody has faith. Like, I wouldn't trust them. I'm not just going to put my blind faith in them to go, your next endeavor is going to be the winner, right? Like, it's just can't do it. You can't.
You can put your blind faith into GameStop having a good success with their next endeavor by bringing back the retro titles and consoles that made this conversation worthy.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh yeah, you are a GameStop veteran.
I used to work I worked at GameStop, so I remember when they pennied out like a lot of the old strategy guides, and they pennied out like the old I think it was some of the Game Boy Advance games at the time, and I think they did some PS2 games and GameCube games as well, and I got to take them home. As the moment they were penning out the system, I got to take it for free, which was sick. God, but it's just interesting to see this, because I don't know if you guys, obviously you probably have them, but the mom and pop shops have been bringing back the retro stuff for, I don't know, for like what, at least maybe almost 10 years now they've been making a comeback. Does that sound about right? Like about like 10 years or so?
I would say the past 15 retro gaming has been building up to the point now where this
like
is...
at the mom and pop shops, like
your cons, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Because where I was at in the Bay Area, there's a place called Phoenix Games that has everything up in mainly specialized in like up to, I think it was at the time PS2 and maybe even PS3 as well. Because I think this is when PS4 was starting to come out.
And Spencer can attest to this. Like, Arizona has like a pretty huge like retro gaming market there. Like, you can pretty much like go to you can basically fall into a shop and then be like retros gaming. But the biggest, here's the thing, this is a mistake from GameStop. The mistake was getting rid of their retro gaming, basically their entire section to begin with, because they thought that we're gonna move into the future. This is all about the PS4 and the Xbox One and all all this old nonsense. And then it got to a point where it's like, no, this thing is now so expensive that literally no one's buying new games anymore. If they are buying them, they're doing it exclusively through PC, which puts us in quite a bind. So now it's like, okay, I guess we got to bring back all those old N64 and Sega Genesis games now, because no one's playing any good crap that we've been putting out there. So it's like, yeah, if this unironically leads into a resurrection of the retro market, that would be great. The question here is that how much are companies like, Sega Genesis, I mean, that's not Sega, but Nintendo and companies like that going to invest in their retro market, or if they're just going to, because like I said, there's still value in old consoles. Like, you can get them like a pretty good spots, and depending on where you go to now. But are these new companies, or I guess say new companies, but are these companies willing to invest into older products, or are they just gonna say, nope, screw it, we're still moving on to the future here? Like, are we gonna see them try to embrace the old school Nintendo or the Super Nintendo, or they're gonna be like, no, damn it, it's Wii time?
But there's also one thing I do want to point out that GameStop made a mistake on, at least in my area, is
hiring you. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, no, because I beat all the managers even in numbers for like 6 months straight in my district. So no,
I believe it.
But no, what they made the mistake on is saying screw you to PC. They just said fuck you PC, and just focused on World of Warcraft.
That's not their fault. Nobody's making physical PC releases anymore. It nowadays it's starting to happen more because even then it's through like boutique people, like, unfortunately, I hate to raise their name, but limited run games. So that still
and like I said, PC was always viewed as like the competitor to the consoles anyway, so they thought of it more as a threat than something that they should embrace. And like I said, that was a mistake. So it was probably in the long run probably not the wisest idea. This is why you got to go with where the industry is trending, not where it's at right now, because where it's at right now, it's not where it's going to be in a couple of years.
That's exactly right. Don't chase the trends, because the trend will eventually fall out. You got to just do your thing and keep on keeping on with it.
You will sideshow bob yourself into that rake.
Oh yes, and remember, there's a bunch of rakes all around you. You're not slick by getting around one of them. Remember that. So to me, I think like what Jacob was saying, is it going to be N64 or is it Wii? I think it's going to be more Wii stuff, just because I think that more that's just what exists. Like, there's more of that out there nowadays, right? They just made more of that stuff. People bought more Wiis. My issue with all of this is that it's cool that these old games are coming out, but if you guys have stepped into any of these like mom and pop stores that Nerdigans is talking about, or the game stores that Jacob's talking about, when you go to the retro games, you're not getting, folklore like Nerdigans was talking about, or Halo 2 for $10, $15. You're getting them in CGC graded cases for $300, or you get a really banged up copy for $100. Right now, the retro video game market has been completely destroyed by weirdo speculators. And I mean, yes, all industries have speculators, but I called these ones out specifically because these are like games that are all available. They artificially jack up the prices for these stupid things.
It depends in the case too, because there is certain case, like a good example of this would be like Def Jam Fight for New York. Like, if you try to buy that game right now anywhere online, it's like $130. You're like, how in the hell is it this much money? Well, the reality is they didn't make them that many discs, so it's more of a rare game. So yeah, it costs a little bit more because it's so hard to get, right? And then there are a few games that are like that. Like, either they just didn't make that many because they didn't expect it to be a huge success, or like I said, it's kind of like a hot button title, like let's say Streets of Rage 2, for instance. It's like everyone wants like the original Streets of Rage 2 like little compact on their disc, and that's probably going to run you like $80 depending on like where you buy it from, right? So there are instances like that, and I think that kind of makes it tough as well. But then, like I said, you're like, oh, here's this video game, and in an 8th grade, it's like, no one cares about that. Like, it doesn't play. That's all I care about. Like, the cat plugging in and play. That's all I care.
So,
dude,
speaking of plugging and playing,
just really quick thing, because
sure.
I was laughing about this, Jacob, because you're talking about Def Jam and rare games. I found somebody was tweeting about it the other week. Did you know? And this is apparently a super rare gaming relic. They remember the game 50 Cent Blood on the Sand?
Yes.
Okay, they apparently made a version of that game, like the special edition came with a video game case-sized bulletproof vest. And I just think that that is the funniest damn thing I've ever heard of in the world. And apparently they only made like 50 of them. So they're hyper rare, but I'm tiny little baby boy.
Well, what was as 50 cents one as 50 Cent once put it, you wear a vest without a gat, use a target, Jack. So yeah.
Not even his game is gonna get got.
I mean, we've seen like all kinds of insane special editions. I mean, there's the Halo
mini bulletproof.
I mean, there's the different lockers for NBA. There's the Halo 3 helmet for your discs, which I have. I got from GameStop for free. I have my Call of Duty World at War. What was it? It was like a case. It was like a bomb case. I got that for free, which was Bob. Dude,
Well,
I still have some of my GameStop stuff somewhere around here, but yeah, I have it.
if you're going to go get yourself an old console from GameStop, I do have a solution for you. Out there are new games being made for old consoles, and they are real deal in the cartridge thing. This is a big list here, all right? Huge list of games that are available for you just to go out and buy. Now, I'm not kidding. These are actual physical cartridges you can feed into your ye olde game consoles. This is a physical cartridge with a new game built into it that you can put into your machine right here. But take a look over here. You've even got this one with the Biocats with a very teeny tiny picture. You can see right here, cartridge included. This is the way to play the game. Right, and this is not
like
a real.
90s, those are like 90s comic book weird. No, thank you. Like
Yeah,
art
they're-
style.
Yeah, kind of strange. But, you know, again, you take a, my God, tiny pictures. But there you go. This is what Biocats looks like when you're in there playing the game. It's a ye olde SNES game, you know? You're just enjoying yourself, roaming around doing that thing. A Famicom game, pardon me, a Famicom game. And these are real
You
indie
host
games.
Tokyo Happy Hour. Come on.
Right. This whole thing, these are real games, physical cartridges made for your consoles, and they're just out there. They're available for you to pick up, and you have Bingo Machine even. Can you believe it? Bingo Machine. Let's see what Bingo Machine looks like. It looks like what I thought it would. It's for your Game Boy. There you go.
Yeah, Game
That's
Boy.
Bingo Machine.
For the Game Boy. But
These
these are all
I feel like if I play that, it's going to be the equivalent of going to a Wuhan wet market and eating a bat. Like I feel
Yeah.
like just I don't.
You'll probably
don't
get a
ask me
cough
how.
from
That's exactly. That's exactly it.
Anyone remember doing the rare candy hack on the Game Boy Color back in the day?
Always, you got to surf half and half, fight the missing no, make
Cheat
sure
the-
your items in the
cheat the
center.
system.
Yes.
if you shut off your game mid-trade, it clones the Pokemon.
It
Remember
clones
that
the
one?
Pokemon.
I
I
have
remember that
4
one.
Mewtwo's at level 100 on some cartridge somewhere because of that.
I remember I actually did the Mew like truck trick, or like I tried it where there's that truck in Vermilion City, and if you get strength and use push on it, Mew will pop out from under it. Not true, doesn't do anything, but you have to like go the entire game without interacting with it and not using a certain item, and then go. And I did it, and I was so mad as like an 11-year-old. I think that was the day I started drinking.
Okay,
When,
you
like,
got
nothing
us.
happened.
That was the
All
day
right.
it ruined my life.
But you know
we
what's
are at the end.
wild? I do want to mention this because
Sure.
I
Shut up,
mentioned
fucking
it.
dealer.
You know what's wild? That can you believe it's 29 years since Kids WB premiered? And
Yep.
it's crazy. How?
No more kids.
Well,
watch like that
we're all
anymore.
pushing 40 nerdigans. Yes, you don't have to
Yes,
keep
seriously.
telling us. We know.
We're just so old, man. Where did the time go?
hmm
It goes
Next thing-
into sitting and watching Marvel movies if you're me and Jacob.
well, one thing, like we were all sitting there like at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday watching Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh. The next thing you know, we got lower back pain and bills. It's just-
And
it's
World War
bad.
III.
Yep, yep. Everything's great.
Well, not for this generation who's just bitching about Genshin or watching Tumblr bullshit.
I feel
Well,
like that site's not even. It's Twitter now. They all migrated
Yeah.
to Twitter and they make Twitter worse.
Yeah.
Or
Because they
TikTok, and they've gone to TikTok or have just made Twitter worse.
Keep
That's
them
what
over
they've
there.
done.
Contain them.
Yeah, no, they can't post porn on Tumblr, so they came here, and that's wherever you can
Yep, that's
post
pretty
porn,
much
you'll
what
find
it is.
Tumblr rights.
Yep.
But that
It's
brings
it's
us
like
to the end
a
of what I
flower
have
for
to
the
offer.
bees.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we that is True Cider. We are here at 2 hours. We are at the end of our show. Does anybody else besides Cider have anything else they want to mention? Nerdigans, Jacob, anything off the top of your heads?
No, I got none.
I was about to say Jacob's special rule, no slurs, but
actually, since we have just a little bit of time to run down here, I didn't get your response to this last night. What do you think of Linkin Park's brand new female singer?
Oh yeah,
we played a little bit of that last night.
I got on the show a little late last night, but Linkin Park's new vocalist. Just I guess off topic thing real quick. I listened to that first single. What I think she is a decent singer of her own on her own right. Like she's fine. I think it's weird to keep Linkin Park going after that. Maybe just sort of go do something else, because that was sort of more tragic than, like Freddie Mercury passing away or any of that fun stuff. But what really got me about this entire thing was like the first few minutes of that new song. I was like, what is this super basic, like middle school pop punk band? This is so weird. Like they've officially gone like dad mode. It's super odd. It's
I mean, they've been on this trail for a while. Because I mean, even before Chester died, it was like, if you guys remember, Linkin Park literally named themselves Linkin Park because it was like, oh, Limp Bizkit's super hot, so let's name our band LB, so that way we can get like it's people who are looking for Limp Bizkit can find us, right? So then it was like they rode the new metal craze for a few years, and they got to like 2004, be like, okay, this thing is gonna last. Let's switch over to like alternative rock, and let's do that, right?
Yeah.
And so now then they became like the Transformers band for like a few years, and they wrote that way.
I thought that was Dave Grohl, but he was after that. So yeah.
Yep. So then the guy died. That's a whole other story. So then the guy died, which really made all of their songs feel like really, really awkward, because it was already borderline suicide music to begin with, and now that the guy's dead, it's just kind of like, I don't know.
He broke the habit, all right.
Like, oh, you follow through.
He told us he was one step closer to the edge, and he was going to break, and then
he was about to break.
So now here we have like this girl.
Like, hey Chester, you doing all right, pal? You feeling okay? Nobody was like, oh, that's awesome lyrics, dude. You're the best. You just leave him alone.
And everyone was all like, you should go back and do that old stuff, because that new stuff you're doing sucks. I'm pretty sure that helped him.
Be sad again.
Your dad's John Bethesda, and your music sucks.
Honestly.
So now we're here with this, this Paramore cover band thing that we're doing now. That's essentially like what it is.
That's a really good way to put it. Yeah.
Well, don't insult Paramore like that.
No, it's not insulting Paramore. But that's what it is. It's like a more weird poppy rock sound.
It's like the Paramore backup quarterback, essentially. It's like your starting quarterback goes down, then you have to like play these guys, and then hopefully you just don't suck ass for the remainder of the game. That's pretty much what it is.
Paramore got sick for the show, but don't worry, everyone. We have.
There's some cover bands that evolve into their own music. So like you can't afford to have Paramore come perform for you. You hire Schlicken Park. Schlicken Park comes to your birthday party and they sing you an aggressive song that a middle schooler would relate to, and you go, "Wow, that's deep," and then they leave. And that's what you're dealing with here. Is you're dealing with a bunch of guys that should have started a new band. They could have called it anything else. They literally could have named the band, quote, anything else, unquote. And that's what they could have named it. They could have just done that.
They could have just been like, hey, look, this is our own thing. We're starting a brand new band. Maybe occasionally we'll cover a couple of like Linkin Park songs, but this is like our new thing now. Right. I don't think it would have gotten nearly as much heat, but it's like trying to like listen to her scream her way through like all the Chester spots. It's like, it is not going to work. And you know who's the real winner of this entire situation? You know who really has gotten one over? Fred Durst.
Jesus of Nazareth? Oh, yeah. That guy
Durst.
Cowboy Durst?
Because Limp Bizkit is still doing Limp Bizkit stuff after all these years, and they haven't changed like at all. It's like they never got off the new metal train. It's like we're riding this till the wheels fall off, and they're still on it, baby. So
I mean, when a band like comes out and their philosophy is, I don't give an F about any of you, it's really hard to, mock them or have them, change with the times. They're just going to do what they want to do. And that's why he's all bearded and Santa Claus with the cowboy hat now.
Their latest music video, I think it's called "Turn It Up, Bitch." Literally, their entire video. I know it's weird because they're all in their 50s now, but literally their entire video is made out of AI. So they did their whole music video out of pure AI. So
Rising Rune Lords. When I said Dave Grohl came after Linkin Park, I'm talking more about in the Transformers franchise, not in like the timeline of reality. I forgot that Linkin Park sang those songs for the I think it's What I've Become. What I've done, yeah. And I forgot that wasn't the Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl. That's all. And that's what I was remarking on, is that I had forgotten that Linkin Park wasn't the Foo Fighters. And that's what I forgot. So.
How did you get them mixed up with the Foo Fighters?
Because I've had a lot to smoke.
But even I can keep my bands correct, bro. Do you not know the vibes?
I'm not that kind of stoner. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Dave's
I can keep Power Rangers straight when I'm high, but when it comes to bands, Willie Nelson is in some metal band somewhere, as far as I'm concerned. He's the lead singer of like Death Clock or something,
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I got.
Yeah,
that's
all
all I
right.
got.
I think with that. Before we go, hilarious update. According to the latest rumors, both Blade and Armor Wars are on the chopping block over at Marvel, which is just hilarious.
Didn't even know what that was when he was interviewed. Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle. He's like,
he didn't even know what that was. He's like, what's Armor Wars?
Nobody knows what Armor Wars is. I wrote
I signed up for this.
I went and I looked at like the history of Armor Wars, and all they've done was like, Armor Wars is happening, and then no plot details ever. Nobody's ever even given like a tease of what's going to happen. It's just Armor Wars is a thing, and now Don Cheadle's like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
They Power Rangers rebooted it, gave it a whole bunch of hype that it's coming, it's going to be great, you're going to love it, and then they didn't do it. They sold the franchise instead.
They waited so long.
One more thing. I do. Is that Yoshimi Yasuda announced that Lollipop Chainsaw Repop is fully uncensored, at least for the original version, and that
he's been saying that, so
yeah, I know, but he's fully clarified the situation, because how people were confused in regards to what's the trailer that came out a while ago. So he basically said
people were confused. It was very straightforward.
I know, but people saw the trailer like, oh, it's still censored. So, and also he's just been very transparent with everything. So the core content for Repop in, the original mode, that's just completely uncensored. And then for those that want it toned down a little bit, that's what Repop is. And it's going to be done, the effects are going to be done in like a pop art style instead of like blood and gore, which I think is kind of cool, actually. But I'm just glad that especially after what we saw with Stellar Blade earlier this year, it's just nice to have that transparency.
But we don't. That's the problem, Nerdigans, is we don't know. You keep saying that this is transparency. Nobody's played the game yet. Remember, the Stellar Blade devs said the exact same thing before the game came out. We are releasing uncensored in all territories. And then when it came game time, they released censored. So
so are you saying that he has the consistency of Tony Khan? Is that what you're saying right now?
Yes, exactly.
No,
Tony Khan's got more consistency.
What I mean by transparency. Well, no, what I mean by transparency is prior to this, Yasuda did release a tweet that talked about like the production process and all the different licensing that had to be done. And there's going to be a day one patch, but the day one patch, he said that it was for bugs, that there's nothing like it's not shady.
I know, but
like
what I'm saying is that yes, he is being communicative and he's saying, oh, let me talk to you guys, but we cannot say right now that he's being transparent and truthful because we don't know. And there have been way too many situations where a dev or a comic creator or a movie maker has gone uncensored. Don't worry, we're not touching it. And then you get to the actual product and bam, censorship. So,
but what I'm saying is, it's with Stellar Blade, it wasn't as transparent as this is.
But it doesn't.
main difference.
The transparency doesn't matter, Nerdigans. It was, again, Stellar Blade. They were coming out and saying it is uncensored. It is uncensored. It doesn't matter if they also said, "Oh, let's talk about how we got this game in 4K and how we fixed these bugs." At the end of the day, they said this is uncensored, and it wasn't. So that's the big concern here. Is they can come and they could release an entire document or an entire documentary that says, "Here's 8 hours of footage of us working on this game that you can all review from multiple camera angles," and that would be great, and that would be great transparency. But until the game landed in our hands and we were able to play it and see what they put in there, we could not use that as a validation that yes, they're completely truthful and transparent.
So we'll see what happens when it comes out. And the thing that will be interesting with the thing that will be interesting with this one, unlike Stellar Blade, which was only for PlayStation, this is coming out on multiple platforms. So we'll find out if this is just a Sony thing, Xbox, or what. Because if it is censored like on one console, then we'll probably get an idea of what happened, maybe even get an idea of what happened with Stellar Blade. Because one of my friends, Bonsama, who does my translations for me for some of my Japanese stuff, he played Stellar Blade, both the version 1.00, which is the uncensored version, and post day 1 patch. Yeah, the costumes are still censored. So, and he's working on posting the rest of the the thread. So yeah, so for the people that are saying, "Oh, the developer fixed it," no, they did not fix it. It is still censored.
Right, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Is that because of behavior like that, you cannot say right now that Lollipop Chainsaw is 100%. We don't know yet. You can't say, we cannot promise our viewers that.
Yeah, you're right about that. But yeah, but at the same time, as I said, like with this, it's going to be a little bit different because unlike Stellar Blade, this is going to be on multiple platforms. So we could see if this is just a Sony thing, if this is on all platforms, or in terms of the censorship or what.
We don't know what censorship, if any, is in there. The repop mode will be in all releases of it. So what?
No, I'm talking about the uncensored mode. That's what I'm talking about.
And that's what I'm saying is that the censored mode is in all the releases, but in the uncensored mode, that's also there too. We'll have to keep our eyes out for what's in there.
Yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes out. I know everyone else will probably too.
It's a hot button topic, of course we will be. But I think with that detour into Marvel's disaster and the Lollipop Chainsaw release, I think that is a great place for us to call it tonight. With that said, before we get out of here, as always, I'll let everybody here let you know what they've got going on. Starting with, I have no control, so it's up to Cider.
Jacob, where do they find you?
Cider Reviews on YouTube and on Rumble and on the site and all the stuff over there. We have a Friday night movie club this Friday. We're going to be reviewing 3 films. So that'll be a big show on Friday. Sunday, I have the Bible Lens podcast. We're going to talk about Allah being Satan. And then Tuesday, we got another episode of the Bar Room. So that's my regular schedule. I'll have some reviews for you guys here. I'll have a lot of time to catch up on some movie reviews this weekend. But yeah, that's what we got coming up. So there you go.
Righteous. And Miss Nerdigans, where do they find?
Bible Lens was really good, by the way.
These are the last one?
Yeah, Sundays, the Mark of the Beast one.
Yeah, a lot of very, very interesting stuff in that one. Some eye-opening stuff in that one as well. So
that's just the tagline of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Eye-opening stuff.
Speaking of someone who's made at least one appearance on the Bible Lens, now you can go to the other person.
The other person, yes. Miss Nerdigans, where do they find you?
You can find us on Nerdigans Inc. on YouTube, where we cover anime and manga content every day. Also, my Twitter is right there, where I'm causing a lot of shenanigans over there and documenting a lot of the insanity that is happening. Hopefully, some of it is going to end up in an article for Bounding. I do not know. At this point, I don't. I'm waiting to hear back from my translators in regards to a situation that's going on with the Ao Exorcist mangaka who's having health issues. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for what's going on with Tagashi, because there's been more health issues with Tagashi in the process of because he's making his comeback next month. So I will keep you guys posted in regards to that. And of course, I'm working on getting stuff set up with Geekdom 101 so we can have like a Dragon Ball Daima, stream. He says he wants to do it, but it's a schedule that is a problem. And more info came out today, so he's scrambling. But I'll keep you guys posted on that as well. But he did say he wants to do it, though, for sure. So.
All right. Well, and Spencer, since you're back, we'll put you in the hot seat before we close things up.
Oh, awesome. First off, I've talked to Danny as well, Geekdom 101. It should be a good stream. Full Daima talk about the future of the franchise. Dragon Ball is starting to heat up again, so there will probably be a lot of stuff for you guys to talk about. All right. Now, normal spiel. As always, guys, well, first of all, I'm so happy that I am back. It was a blast, returning to the hot seat after a month. I'm excited to, be back, talk to you guys more next week, watch all the Cider Talk stuff. It's, I love it here. Wouldn't be anywhere else on a Wednesday night. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. We couldn't do this without you. Leslie, Tony, Volume Dealer, Hey, it's me in HD, Scooby Douche, Raising Rune Lords, Timon, all you guys, Volume Dealer, I know you were in here as well. DZ3, I think I already said that. Hey, it's me in HD, and a bunch of other people I know I am missing, especially our Tokyo Happy Hour crew. But thank you guys for watching and hanging out with us. As always, you can catch, go to the site, boundingintocomics.com. We're putting up news stories every day. I've got a bunch of stuff to put off as soon as we get off of here tonight, so be on the lookout for those stories. Check out what Nerdigans has going on. Check out what Jacob's got going on. Subscribe right here on Bounding Into Comics to see what Cider's got going on. Special shout out to my boy. He's been killing it on the YouTube stuff. He's got a lot of good shows, a lot of good jams going on. There's something every day for you to experience right here, so stop on by. As always, you can come back next week to check out another episode of the 01 podcast, the 01 stream show. I don't know what we call it anymore. I just call it 01 personally. So you can catch another episode of 01 next week, same bat time, same bat channel right here. If you want to see more of me, you can go subscribe to my own channel, Studio Kabuto, over on YouTube. We will be back for Good Mab Ugly this week. I am returning to the hot seat, so I will see you guys Friday if that is up your alley. And if not, I will see you next week right here on Bounding Into Comics.
Spencer stole my line, so I like the Genshin video, so I'm gonna play that as the outro. Screw you if you guys don't want it. Bye. Have a good week.